Hey, and happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to Zach from They Live by Film. Zach, you know you're one of my favorites. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me again. It looks like we're gonna be here for some Severin.
Severin and a big Ty West discussion tonight, and kind of some bigger announcements this week. We got some heavy hitters to talk about, so excited to dive into that. But first, what's been going on with They Live by Film?
So we are finishing up our Fast and Furious run through. We'll be doing our last scheduled one this Sunday, and then it'll go up on Friday. For many, I'm sure you're thrilled because it was probably an odd series for us to do, but after Von Trier, we needed something about as
Right.
brainless as it goes. So we're about done with that, and then we've got an announcement that'll be coming up. So I can't announce it here, but so if you do listen and you have been interested in the Fast and Furious, maybe listen to at least like the last 10 minutes of that discussion because we may have something towards the end coming.
I'm very excited to have everybody hear that. We are here on tonight, and somebody saying, "Great shirt, Zach." Obviously, there's a reason for it tonight. Yeah, days like this are hard.
Yeah, it was like when somebody's 75, you're like, I shouldn't be like super surprised, but in a weird way, I was. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a bummer. That's like a huge
Right.
bummer.
Yeah, and somebody like this who was literally an icon, who was, I mean, for so many people, like she was a part of everybody's childhood through Olive Oil and then passed into The Shining for so many people. And there are so many things that she was like this perfectly oddball casting choice. And when you have somebody like that was so effective for so long, kind of disappear for quite some time. It's sad. And then, of course, over the last couple of years, she's been found and she was getting some more attention. And then to have that news come out today that she is gone, yeah, that hurt.
Yeah, and I think with her, and there's a lot of women like it, and this isn't to, let me choose my words carefully as I can so this doesn't sound mean because it's not meant to
Right.
be. But, I like unusual looking people in film. I think we get so
I do
used
too.
to very stereotypical look that it's sad when you lose people like that because they give so much to that performance just because they feel like they bring something new that you don't see
Yeah,
enough.
agree fully. Yeah, Shelley Duvall was a big deal, and I mean the amount of people I saw today that people were naming these iconic roles that she played, whether it be Annie Hall or like Olive Oil is probably one of those ones that I saw most today that people were either one of two camps. They grew up incredibly attached to her in this role because she was literally the best person to play this role, or they had never seen Popeye. And I'm like, what are you doing? How have you never seen Popeye?
And of course, Altman was a big fan of hers. Obviously, McCabe and Miss Miller is great. She doesn't play obviously the main character, but she's great in that.
Right. We got our beginning comment from Josephine, like we normally do. Named a few first watches. We've got Blue Sunshine, George A. Romero's Amusement Park, Last Hurrah for Chivalry, Strange World of Coffin Joe, and Eggshells. Have you seen any of those titles?
I watched Amusement Park when it came out. Excellent, excellent movie. It's really cool. I'm just glad it exists and it got released.
It was way better than I expected it to be. It's one of those things where a posthumous project comes out, and you're like, oh, it was not released for a reason, probably. And then this came out, like, oh no, wait, there's actually something here.
I love the idea that the reason I don't know how much of the Lutheran stuff is true, so I don't want to spread too much. But from my understanding of how it all happened was, hey, we need you to do an elderly PSA, and then they're like, oh, this is way too frightening for an elderly
Right.
PSA, so we're not going to do that.
Yeah. 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 Blue Sunshine, also very good movie, very interesting movie, very weird movie. Glad it's out there on 4K for everybody to pick up from Synapse after they announced it 2 years ago or whatever. Speaking of that, we got some titles we're going to be talking about that was announced years ago and now finally coming out. But first, before we get there, how about some pickups and recent watches? Any pickups for you recently?
Pickups have mostly just been like catching up. We'll get to some second sight stuff later, obviously, but I finally picked up Green Room and Possessor. I've been meaning to get those for a while. basically the way Second Sight works is I'm like, oh yeah, I need to catch up on these, and then something else gets announced, and I was like, okay, I really need to do it. So your next was like, I need to get Green Room and Possessor before I lose out on those. Um, and as far as watches go, I've been in a kind of a 2000 horror mood. I guess I just need a little bit of nostalgia. But
Yeah.
let's see. I watched Wreck for the first time, which feels embarrassing to say as much as I watch horror, that this was a
Not at
first
all.
time
That's
watch for
great.
Wreck. Oh, it's phenomenal. It really
Yeah.
is. I think I avoided it for a long time because I saw Quarantine. Uh, what did that came out 2008? So I probably saw it when I was 14, and all I heard after that was it's a shot for shot remake, and I'm like, well, that movie wasn't very good. So if it's shot for shot, maybe not. But
Yeah.
finally gave it a go. I've been meaning to for a long time. It's great. But speaking of good Jennifer Carpenter in horror movies, I rewatched The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I was worried would not live up to my memories, and that movie's still fantastic.
I need to rewatch that one. I don't think I've seen that one since, oh gosh, probably about a year after it came out. And I remember liking it plenty, but there being this weird like vitriol around that movie for a while, and I don't remember why.
I think the one thing I appreciated about it, because I'm very critical of exorcism movies. I think that's when I look through the announcements. I'm sure we'll get to a recent one here very soon. I tend to find them. It's so funny. You can see all these movies. You can see like all these slasher movies, and they don't have to be Halloween. You can see all
Right.
these creature features. They don't have to be Jaws. But for the love of God, if somebody makes an exorcism movie, then it has to be The Exorcist. Just again, like we do it all over again, but a lot worse. And Emily Rose, I thought, actually captured why The Exorcist was good, because you spend so much of The Exorcist like convincing the audience that this is a viable option. It
Right.
isn't, let's get you on a bed and get you cursing out someone's mom and saying everything you can think of, and we're going to spend half the movie doing that, because that's just not interesting. That's not the interesting part of an exorcism movie.
Right.
So I actually thought Emily Rose tackled that very well without giving answers. And I thought that was a very nice touch, which what's his name? Scott Derrickson. Tend to like his stuff, so it was a good start for him. He's had a pretty solid career overall.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Speaking of, you mentioned picking up Green Room. Craig from Deaf Crocodile says, haven't watched much this week, but saw a screening of Green Room with a Q&A with the director, and Jeremy Long, friend of the channel, is the one that went with Craig to that. He says it was nice to get out of the house.
Now,
And
I
I
want
was
to know,
super
did he
jealous.
announce when we're getting his next movie? Because I've been waiting for like 8 years. That's what I want.
God, yeah, it's almost been
I guess
around
it was
that
what,
long.
2018. I guess 2018 was Hold the Dark.
Yeah.
So 6 years.
I need to rewatch Hold the Dark, too.
That's one I liked better on a rewatch. Like, it is so slow. It has to be the most glacially slow thriller I have ever seen. But I appreciated it knowing it the second time.
Well, now that Second Sight put out Green Room, I should say I would love to see a Blue Ruin Second Sight release. And
Absolutely. Murder
beyond that,
Party. We still have Murder Party on DVD.
we've never had a Murder Party Blu-ray. I would love a Second Sight Blu-ray Murder Party.
Yeah, or just a Blu-ray of Murder Party. I'm not picky. Just
Oh
let
yeah,
me see.
yeah. I'm
Just
not
give me Murder
clamoring for
Party.
4K necessarily. Just I would love it to be Second Sight because I love their work. I've got two things here. One is relevant for tonight that I think you were alluding to, and the other one I'm excited to check out. This just came in today. A check disc for The Man from Uncle 4K from Arrow. I have never seen The Man from Uncle.
Ooh, are you a Guy Ritchie guy?
Very divisive. Like
Okay.
I either really love the movie or it's like, why does this exist?
So I'm going to give out my first controversial take of the night, I would assume, because we haven't got the Ty West yet, so we'll get there. I think his later output is better. I think he has grown much better as a director over the last few years. Snatch is good. I think a lot of stuff he's done later is better.
Oh wow! Silent Mandible last night would see Close Encounters of the Third Kind at the theater. I would love to see that play in rep right now, and I gotta admit, I would probably take my oldest kid. I think that would be a blast. The other thing I just got in relevant to tonight's conversation, The Sacrament from
I
Second
got that
Sight.
as well. I forgot. I did get that as well. That was the
Now
other
that we've
pickup.
talked about Second Sight like 14 times, yeah, this is going to be talked about tonight because after the announcements, we are discussing the career of one Ty West. This is going to be a very interesting, fun night, and I'm eager to get into discussion on these. What have you been watching this last week?
Ooh, let's see. Some of them we're gonna get to, so I'll save them. I did rewatch The Wailing, so that was really good. I hadn't
Love
seen
that
that since it
movie.
released, so it was fantastic going back. Finally got some use out of that steel book I paid way too much money for about 5 years ago. So that was nice. Let's see, what else did I watch? See, Letterbox has been down all day, so I'm having to do this by memory. It might
Yeah.
be acting up now. Let me see. While I do that, you tell me what you've been watching while I see if it's up. Oh,
Um,
it is up.
It is up. I've been preparing for tonight a little bit, so I can't say much about that. I've also been preparing for another episode that I'm about to do with a mutual friend of ours on M. Night Shyamalan. And all I'll reveal now is I just watched Lady in the Water for the first time, or it might have been the second time. I may have seen it when it came out, but I don't think I paid much attention because I don't remember any of this from the movie, and man, is this going to be low on my list because Lady in the Water is not a good movie.
Yeah, it's and when it comes to M Night, I think a lot of it's down to they poorly market his movies. Like I seem to remember Lady in the Water had like they treated it like a horror movie,
Oh,
and it is
absolutely.
so not a horror movie. It's almost like what was that Flanagan Before I Wake, where they advertised it as some like horror movie, and it's like a
Right.
fairy tale fantasy thing, and it's like it almost feels like for my memory that's the kind of the same thing they did with Lady in the Water, though. I would say based on my memory, Before I Wake was a better movie.
Yeah, Lady in the Water should have been marketed probably like kind of like a Del Toro film, to be honest. I mean, it's got similar things. Like there's meant to be a little bit of suspense, but it's literally the entire movie is a fairy tale story. That's all it's telling.
Mhm.
But either way, it's not a good movie. Um, the other thing that I was able to go to Maxine, so we're going to be talking about that tonight afterwards. There's going to be a lot of Ty West talk tonight, a lot of comparing some of these films together, and the big thing that I have really wanted to say about Ty West is not much of his stuff is similar. Like he takes a lot of swings.
And they're very different styles. Like going through them, I could see where like they influence one another. But no, he's like, okay, I'm going to do this 70s retro thing, and then I'm going to
Yeah.
turn around and do this little cozy little horror movie because I feel like it. It's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what you're going to say tonight about all of that. Um, I don't know. I kind of just want to dive into Ty West stuff already, but I mean, we can't. We got to wait. I just want to know like what people are thinking about all these things. So yeah, as we talk tonight, please, please, please share your opinions. I can't wait to hear some of these. I'm sure because he's so different, I'm sure people are going to have very different opinions, not only about like the recent trilogy, but about all of them. I mean, when you compare some of these movies to each other, uh, it's it's kind of just difficult to compare them. I mean, The Innkeepers is like nothing else in his filmography.
No, and it's nice to see, and I do wonder, and then we'll probably delve more into this, but I do wonder if that was a big part of why he had to take such a long break because
Mm,
I hate to call Wingard a sellout, but he definitely was more comfortable saying, you know what, I like the big studio money, where I don't think West was quite as comfortable with that. And I think it kind of
right.
paid the price for him. Because Wingard obviously is making Vuku some money doing Godzilla.
That's true. That's very, very true. Craig says he's never seen a Ty West movie. That's okay. We're still here to welcome you with open arms. Hopefully, you get some recommendations tonight. Dude McMahon asking, are we staying live through the start of the Severance sale? Absolutely, we're staying live through the Severance sale. Obviously, we know all the titles, but we will. I guess I should ask before we get into that later. I don't recall. Are you big into Severance? I don't think you have too much from them, right?
I have a decent amount, but it's really like I don't I wait till they're big releases. That's that
Right.
you look at my Severance sale, it's like oh, they announced this during Black Friday, and I bought that. So same thing this year. I'll be getting Opera. So
Yeah, I can't wait to hold Opera. That movie, we'll talk about it tonight, but it is my favorite. It's my favorite Argento, up there with Suspiria for me, up there with, oh man, probably Tenebrae.
Creepers is one of mine.
Creepers is great.
I'll say it that just because I can't. You don't want to hear me try to pronounce Phemonia. Is that right? I feel like it's wrong.
Phenomena.
See, I wasn't even close.
There
is the other title.
This is probably gonna be a deep cut. I can't imagine many people in this chat are big fans of Chapel Roan. Chapel Roan is a pop star that is rising through like the ranks right now and has risen like February. She had probably maybe like a 250,000 average monthly listens on Spotify, and she's exploded to like 25 million average monthly listeners on Spotify, one of the largest increases in history ever. She has a song that is kind of this ongoing test to see if people can say it out loud, and it's the word that you just said, phenomena, but that's the end of the word, and it's one word, feminine first, femininomenon. And getting people to say that is one of the funniest things in the world.
Nope. My stutter will come right back out if I even attempt it. So I'm gonna pass on that.
We mentioned They Live by Film earlier. I will say you all may not have seen this yet, but there is an announcement about the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network near the end of the announcements tonight that I can't wait to share with everybody. Hang out for all of this. We got a long night ahead of us. Anything else before we get into the announcements, sir?
I did get up my letterbox, so I will go through these very quickly. Yeah. So as far as everything else, I remembered everything, but I am going through Oz Perkins stuff. So I rewatched Blackcoat's Daughter, which is still just as fantastic as I remember. The worst thing about that movie is the title, because it sounds like the driest fucking movie could have for a movie. It sounds just stuffy. I'm like, why? Just call it like February was a better title. Yeah. Should have just stuck with that. More people would have saw it. I rewatched I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. I hated this movie the very first time I watched it because it is, I've already said glacially slow once, but I'll go again. This is even slower. But I kind of dug it a little bit more. Like I appreciate like how classical Perkins is as a director. Like it's obviously like, if this was, I think I watched a review where somebody basically said, if this was a novel in the 1800s, it would probably be the most frightening thing anyone ever read. Right. It's just not the 1800s anymore. So that's the big thing. And then I'll finish up with I did get Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid through Criterion. That was the last thing I got for the sale, and probably the last thing I will this year. I watched the 50th anniversary cut, which from what I've been seeing, has been met with a little bit of controversy, with it being called things like a fan cut by his editor and things like that. I have to say I dug it. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I wanted to give the newest cut a shot. I think it's fantastic. It's just such a good movie, no matter which cut it is.
It's a big deal that's out there. I have not gotten it in yet. I'm very eager to check it out, but it's one of those movies that the reputation precedes it, and in a way that is exciting because somehow most people have still never seen it. So it's one of those, you get this feeling of like there's about to be a huge appreciation for a classic in cinema all at once.
And I mean, the more Peck and Paw, the better. I mean, we've gotten a little bit more over the last few years. Of course, Criterion had Straw Dogs, which was, fun fact, the very first Criterion I ever bought was Straw Dogs.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my first one. Then let's see, Kino put out Alfredo Garcia, and then we've had Pat Garrett, and then I think those have been the main ones, because I mean, Wild Bunch is on a standard. Cross of Iron has been
Studio Canal 4K.
Yeah, that's right. They did do a 4K, didn't they? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still missing some good stuff, but I mean, at least hopefully we'll start seeing some more as time goes on.
Yeah, there's some Peck and Paw that's been. Let's see, what's the best way to say this? The Blu-rays for some of the Peck and Paw movies were not like some of the worst, but oh my gosh, did they not do great on some of the Blu-rays for Peck and Paw films?
No, especially for a guy who's very specific in the way a movie's supposed to look. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think Kino, didn't they have to re-release Alfredo Garcia? I feel like there was a whole controversy with
Yeah,
Alfredo Garcia.
they put it out, and they got caught because they didn't do anything wrong at first. The studio supplied them with the master that was the previous master, like the real old master, and
Mhm.
Arrow had released in the UK the newer master, and Kino was supposed to release the newer master. That's how they were advertising it to everybody. People got the disc in and went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! This looks terrible. This is the old master still." And unfortunately, Kino went, "No, it's not. It's fine. No, you're good. You're good. Just keep that." And then everybody kept pressuring them, and they finally said, "Okay, we'll replace it."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
messed up.
but thankfully I have the replacement through Kino.
Good. All right. Joel says just picked up that imprint 4K of Cross of Iron. Stoked to dive into that. Studio Canal. They've got they've got these ties with people in Australia, with Germany, with the UK, with Lionsgate in the US, and a lot of their titles they get released in the UK and then come out very soon, and suddenly we have 5 versions of the same film. Most of the time they're identical, so uh, get whatever one looks best for you or is cheapest, basically. All
Cheapest in this hobby? That's not the way it works.
I mean, there's a lot of people that I collect every imprint title, so they're definitely gonna want that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets there. Uh, I forgot about that. Michael says Arrow's Alfredo Garcia has 10 hours of interviews on the limited edition. Whew,
I did not realize that one had that.
that's a
That's
lot.
wild.
What's going on, Kev? Jeremy on Facebook says Kino eats farts. I would disagree. Kino's pretty great at what they do, but when you put out 250 titles a year, it's easy to mess up one or two of them.
I will say, like, Kino has the most interesting customer service of any boutique label.
Interesting is a good word there.
Yeah, like, I mean, they're not like, I wouldn't call them the worst. There's other ones I would definitely name before them, but
I would too.
they definitely make me take notice whenever they say anything on social media.
What's funny though is there are people that are doing social media are definitely not answering their customer complaints. Their social media will be, no, we're never putting out Slumber Party Massacre 2. It's a trash movie, and you're a trash human for liking it. And then you email them and like, hey, my slipcover came ripped. Can I have another one? And they'll be like, oh yes, sir. Here you go. We got free shipping for you. It's on the way. And it's like, wait a minute.
Why are there two different people? Which we'll get into some Friedkin here pretty soon with their relationship with him. So we have all
Yeah.
sorts of things to talk about that are going to be relevant.
On that note, our first announcement tonight is Kino Lorber. Last week, we had been discussing that they were putting out the other big title that Imprint is also releasing as part of this double feature. Wayne Wang and, of course, our man Harvey Keitel titles. So they announced that they were going to be putting out Blue in the Face coming soon. This is the brand new HD Master. And just like last week, I did say this is likely about to be announced. And what do you know? It was announced the next day. Yeah. We've just recently talked about this title, so moving right along. Last week was the Vinegar Syndrome sale, so we still got some lingering things to cover from there. The first is their Degausser video line put out Blood Cult this month. This is supposedly the first movie made specifically for the home video market. That is a big deal. It's got a big reputation for that. We got some extras on here, and of course they put out one of their fancy LED VHSs with this because they're doing that for all of the Degausser titles. But yeah, a bunch of new interviews, some new commentaries, looking good.
Yeah, I can tell how shallow I am because I know nothing about that movie. It's probably terrible, and I'm like, I'm going to order that.
Yes, everything I've heard is this is pretty terrible.
Wonderful. The pack, it's going to look great on my shelf, though. That's what matters.
It sure will. Next up, one of the Severance sale titles is Dario Argento's Deep Cuts. And man, the story about this one on the Severin podcast is absolutely worth listening to. I know that we're about to go over all the Severin titles tonight, and we're not going to go into super detail on this, but over this weekend, if you've got some free time and you're wanting to be inspired about some of the Severin titles, highly, highly recommend, first of all, always checking out the Severin Films podcast, but when it's their sale titles episodes that they do, it is so much more recommended. And they go into detail on this one about how Some of the negatives were thought to be lost for these titles for years, and then somebody just went and dug literally in like underground vaults and discovered, I think it's 3 out of 4 reels for one of these, and the other one they got a new scan from a broadcast master. But this is going to be great. We got Door into Darkness Part 1 and Part 2. We've got Night Shift, and then Dario Argento's Nightmares. We got some new commentaries. We've got a lot going on in this release. It's 4 discs. This is a pretty exciting release for Argento fans.
Yeah, I have not seen anything on here, but that I at this point, is there anything we're not going to get through Argento? I feel like between Blue Underground's one release and then we have Synapse and Severin, I feel like we've gotten what, like 90% of it.
Yeah, some of the newer titles we don't have great releases of in the US.
Well, he stopped making movies in the 80s, so you know.
Okay. In that case, then we have most everything. Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah.
The the only thing I'll say is Inferno is supposedly under Disney control now. So while we did have a Blu-ray of that, it's unlikely to get a 4K.
Come on, Sony, you got that deal. Go for it.
That would be swell. Let's move right along to our next one. The Mr. Monk's Last Case movie is coming from Kino Lorber, which I got to be honest, I'm kind of surprised they were able to get this. This is pretty cool. I know that they've been doing the whole Monk series, but this is very, very different. This was made for Peacock. This was made for a streaming service, and Kino was able to get this as part of that deal, which is great. And now they'll have literally everything Monk.
And it's a pretty good movie. Like I was a big Monk fan growing up, so it was kind of nicely nostalgic to get that movie. So,
knowing what you do for work and knowing what I majored in school, did that play into your interest in this film? Did that help?
I'll be honest. The show that encouraged me was the original CSI. I obsessed over that, but Monk probably helped too. But it was really CSI. I guess it's called Las Vegas now, but it wasn't when I watched it. There weren't 20 of them.
Yeah, CSI and Law and Order for sure. I agree, Reggie. Always nice to see the streaming services release physical copies. It's a big deal. Next up, so I have not fully announced the details for the upcoming Mill Creek release of the Bewitched series because we don't have the details of the Mill Creek Bewitched series, but Imprint wanted to get a part of it and reveal to everybody that if you want this from somebody that's not Mill Creek, Imprint is going to be releasing the Bewitched series in 4 hardbox releases starting in November of this year. What they're going to be doing is 4 boxes, each containing 2 seasons, and you'll be able to get that from the Aussie label Imprint Films. These will be available in the US. I'm sure Orbit will carry them. I'm sure Diabolic will have them. So that's a big deal if you want a better thing than what Mill Creek's going to do. However, I will probably say they are likely the exact same masters. Mill Creek and Imprint are likely getting them from the same source. I think I said that wrong the first time. So yeah, don't be expecting much different. Although Imprint is likely going to shell out for some features, Mill Creek probably won't.
I wonder if they're gonna just go through and do some I Dream of Jeannie next.
I mean, it's very needed. The other big one, I mean, especially from around this time, I would love to see an updated version of the Munsters.
Yeah, that would be good.
Series. It is very needed, and there are lots of extras you can do for that.
I feel like this is the right time to ask you how you felt about Zombies Munsters.
I just watched it this year for the first time, so I could do an episode of Film Foundations. I was prepared based on what everybody said, and let me tell you, that did not prepare me enough because when I watched it, I fucking loved it. Zombies Munsters is incredible, and I'm trying to figure out how everybody hated it. It is so, like, it's almost a perfect movie.
I am about as rough on Zombie as anybody. I think his first Halloween is one of the worst horror movies I've seen. I have it pretty low in my ranking for that. I despise everything about it. But I really enjoyed the Munsters. I think it was a good fit for him. It was obviously something he was passionate about. And yeah, I feel like I remember when all the news was coming out and everyone was just like, oh, look how this looks for like $60 million. And he had to come out basically saying, there's no way they gave me $60 million for this movie, by the way. Like, that
Yeah.
is not what this movie is.
Reggie is asking, were people trashing zombies, monsters when the first trailer was released? Yes, that's when
Yeah.
it started. But also, we're in this weird time period where people are full blown lambasting films that they've never even seen. Most people that are trashing zombies, monsters have only seen the trailer and like, it's an awful movie. Oh, when'd you see it? Oh, I haven't seen it. I saw the trailer, but it looks awful. That doesn't like you didn't see anything.
Yeah, like, I mean, if somebody said it didn't interest me because I didn't like the aesthetic, which would be, I don't know, odd for me because I thought that was one of the things he nailed. But I'd be like, okay, but you can't say the movie's bad. Like, you can sit there and say it didn't appeal to me because, I don't know, it didn't look like my type of thing.
Yeah. I was very happy with it, and it is very high on my zombie list, which I did not expect. I expected it to be squarely in about the middle or maybe on the bottom half. Nope. It's pretty near the top. It's fantastic. Oh, Kev, yes. They've seen the trailer, then watched like a 10-minute summary on YouTube, and then they claim they've watched it. You haven't watched jack shit. Just watch the movie.
I like the Dead Meat channel. I think what he does is great. I watch some of plenty of his videos, but I think that's really contributed to that. Like,
Yep.
hardcore. People said, "Well, I watched the kill count of it." I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean anything.
I want to know what's wrong with me because I can't stand the videos on that channel. I've got nothing against the guy. I can't get into them at all. But anyways, we're staring at Bewitched, and I could go into trashing kill count. Anyways, speaking of Imprint, September 25th, they are releasing their Imprint Television number 9, Man in a Suitcase, the complete series. This is from 1966 and 67, and has a ton of stuff as usual. Their TV releases are remarkable. 8-disc Blu-ray set, 120-page book in this. All kinds of special features, so many that if I listed all of them, it would have had to have been literally like 3 or 4 different Instagram posts because of the Instagram stupid character limit. So, yeah, this is an amazing looking release if you're into the series. I had never heard about it.
No, is it what is it, a UK show, an Australian show?
I believe that's all they've been doing is UK series.
Okay.
Yeah. Stan is preparing issue 11 of our physical media advocate. Thank you, Stan. You're the best. Kev doesn't like Dead Meat either. Nice. I'm not alone. Then Vinegar Syndrome announced their next VSA title. It is the Troma-produced They Call Me Macho Woman from 1989. And this is what our artwork looks like. This one looks pretty good. It says newly scanned, restored in 2K from the OCN. We've got a commentary track with William Morris, friend on Facebook of mine, John Dixon of the Oscar Bait Film Collective and Podcast, an interview with the cinematographer, interview with Troma president Lloyd Kaufman, and then a booklet with an essay by W. Richard Benash. Yeah, this one looks fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of it before this moment, but I would watch it.
Yeah, most of the Troma titles that we've done have been pretty decent, I thought. Then we got a really fun announcement from Kino. They are putting out The Hunted. I keep wanting to call this Hunted. The Hunted from 2003, and the big deal, Zach already alluded to it. This is coming on 4K, and that's a big deal because it's William Friedkin directed, and they had basically sworn off, we're not going to release any Friedkin films on 4K, and then he died, and they're like, okay, we're back in the game.
Oh, good. We don't have to listen to his input. We're good. We're good.
Right.
Which, I mean, I have always said they should basically have, like, the mantra of physical media should come from Friedkin with his interview with, was it the rap?
Nicholas Winding Refn?
Oh, no. It's like he did one where they were talking about Oliver Stone, and he was going through this whole thing where it's like, yeah, Oliver Stone says physical media won't exist in 10 years. And this was in like 2010. And he's just like, how the fuck would he know? And the guy was like, yeah, I think he just didn't want people to see Alexander on Blu-ray. And he's like, fuck Alexander and fuck Oliver Stone. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Oh,
Should be the
amazing.
mantra of physical media.
I haven't seen this since theater, I don't think, and I remember really liking this movie. I was big into Tommy Lee Jones then, not that I'm not now. He's still great, but that probably colored it a little bit. I don't know if it's as good as I remember, but I will definitely be wanting this one.
I saw it weirdly 2 weeks ago. I did not buy if there was a Blu-ray already. Thank God I didn't buy it. I rented it from Amazon, so I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, like I kind of saw that it wasn't well received, and I guess I don't know. It's a dad movie. I like dad
Yeah.
movies.
Silent Mandible wants to know: is this related to The Fugitive and U.S. Marshals? I don't.
You can
think
pretend.
So.
You can absolutely pretend it is because it would fit right in.
Eli is asking: is VS ever going to release another VSP? Eli,
What was their last one?
Well, if you keep watching for another 45 seconds, you'll find out. The last one before that, well, we just got the last one. It was the one with the bikes. Just came out like 2 months ago.
The one with the bikes.
I could probably go pull up their website, and I'm not. Somebody else will say it in the chat before.
Yeah, let's see if I'm gonna race them.
Find it.
See if I can
Riddle of Fire.
They beat me too. Oh, that's a pretty new movie too. That's right. Yeah.
Well, and it's a VSP, which means they help produce it. Yeah, we're going to talk about another one of those in just a moment. Yes, give me Volcano on 4K. I don't really believe in guilty pleasures, but if you're going to have one, that's a pretty guilty pleasure because that movie is not good, but it's so much fun. Yes, Stan, that is a tribute to Shelley Duvall. We had that conversation right before you got here, actually. So yeah, we're going to talk about another VSP in about was that after this or before this? Now I may be wrong. The VSL that they announced was Interrogation from 1982, and this movie sounds really great. Antonina is a traveling cabaret performer in Stalinist-era Poland. After a night of celebratory drinking, she is tricked into accepting a ride that she thinks will take her home, but instead delivers her to a military detainment facility. Her captors reveal that their motives are to coerce her into making a false confession against one of her friends. After refusing to cooperate with their plot, she is slowly dragged into the hellish system of the secret prison. No charges, no trial, only punishment. As days become weeks and months become years, Antonina loses her grip on reality while realizing, in the face of unimaginable brutality and humiliation, that her only means of survival against this vicious totalitarian regime will be to hold tight to her principles. This one is newly restored by Vinegar Syndrome from a studio-supplied master. We've got a 48-minute making of documentary with a bunch of interviews that are new for this. We've got newly translated English subs, and it looks great. This is the next in the VS Labs line. Yeah,
it might be my first one for that line. That sounds up my alley.
Very Polish. They've dug deep into that over the last year. Flickering Waves. 8 Eyes is the latest VSP. It was announced earlier in the week. Okay, so we talked about that last week. Eli says, I thought New York Ninja was the only VSP. No, I think we've had like 5 now with Riddle of Fire and 8 Eyes. 5 or 6, something like that. Yeah, go check out on the Vinegar Syndrome website. They've got a section for just VSPs that you can go into. And Sibner's here now. What's going on? Kev says Vinegar Syndrome came down from Denver to Oklahoma City this past weekend to screen House of the Dead and sell some blues. I have wanted to go to one of their pop-ups for a long time. All right. Our next title. I guess it's not a title. Reminder that Target is having one of their buy 2, get 1 free sales right now. And it lasts until Saturday night at midnight. Yes, Sibner, Scary of 61st is one. You are correct. This is, well, it was at least for a long time. It was pretty good. They used to have a lot of really interesting boutique titles that you could get fairly cheap. And then if you could get one free because you priced them all around the same price, it was a great deal. I've bought plenty of things from the Target sale before. They have changed over the last year or so. They've first off deleted a lot of their titles, but now all of their prices are super high. So like even regular Shout Factory stuff, there's some newer ones, not a lot of the older ones, but their 4Ks are like starting at MSRP. So you're looking at like $34.99 for a Shout Factory 4K, and it's
And I can wait for the 5% coupon Shout will send me as a thank you if I want to, save a little.
Yeah, and Target doesn't carry Deaf Crocodile titles, so it's a shout there.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, Target. I don't know if that's what you meant, Sibner, but the search on Target is kind of terrible. Brendan, I agree. Scary of 61st was not good. What's going on, Jamie?
I can't decide how I feel
Good.
about 61st. I really can't. Like I've watched it. I have watched it from beginning to end. And some parts of me think I might have liked it, or the movie tricked me by just being that weird.
Yeah.
And I'll probably never know for sure because I probably won't rewatch it.
Yeah. And dude says, plus some new releases weren't included in the sale like they've done before. A lot of times you can go on the first day and get pre-orders as part of the sale, which is where I used to go ham on because you could really, really get some good deals that way. They have not been doing that. It has not been working out. Humboldt is asking, I got Jean Roland titles last time at Target. Anything like that? Yes, they're still there. However, they're priced at like $27.99 or $29.99 4K, and that's kind of what they always are, or a couple dollars more than you can get them at like Orbit or Diabolic, which means even if you get 3 titles at that exact same price, you're really not saving all that much in the long run. And these used to be so good that you were saving literally like somewhere between like $12 and $14 per title when you were finding good deals. It felt like, yeah. All right. Jamie says these sales are great. Found my movie Skinamarink at the local public library today. Very nice.
I got a steelbook, didn't it?
Yep, it did. Walmart exclusive. Stan's excited for Caligula. Kev says paying the difference for the sale not worth it. Yeah, it's about that price, and not to mention all of these retailers that we have now, which we're up to like 4 or 5 really good ones. We've got Diabolic, we've got Orbit, we've got Grindhouse Video, Atomic Movie Store, and then the probably the newest one that people are discovering, Brother Belial, which really came in to focus on German titles, but he kind of carries almost everything nowadays. He's starting a sale tomorrow, and everything is going to be like 15% off of his already low prices. So check out brotherbelial.com if you're into it.
This is I don't know, it might age me. Does Bull Moose still exist? Is that still one?
I believe so.
Okay.
I know they're more in person. I don't think they do much for online sales. But yeah. Target gift cards from coworkers. That's a reason to do it. That's for sure. And Target does a lot of Target Circle offers where if you spend $40, you get $10 or something like that, which makes it a lot more worth it. Bayview Entertainment, I believe that's Canada, right, Jamie? I think that's a Toronto store. They've got sales all the time. Is Anthropophagus any good? If you like B movies, it's fun. It's certainly worth it. All right, going to our next one. Amazon is price matching that for this week, the Target sale. They are offering their title, their sale. They go for the name Get 3 for the price of 2, just to be different. The worst part is the titles suck on Amazon. None of the boutiques ever really fall under this. They don't price match all of the Target titles, but it's mostly studio titles, so check it out if you are looking for some studio stuff. Stardust from 2007 is getting a 4K steelbook from Paramount on September 24th. This is a big deal for a lot of people.
My girlfriend is one. I told her about it earlier. She was so excited.
A huge cast in this. Sienna Miller, Charlie Cox, Claire Danes, Michelle Pfeiffer, Robert De Niro, Peter O'Toole, Rupert Everett, Ricky Gervais, Henry Cavill, very young in this. Yeah, this is a title people love.
Yeah, my girlfriend says this is Robert De Niro's best performance, and she will fight anyone who disagrees with her.
I don't think I've seen this since theater, but isn't he like barely in this movie?
It's enough, apparently. I haven't seen it in a long time either.
I mean, okay. I don't know what to say to that.
I don't. I just go with it.
Hey, speaking of the Severance sale, I put up a bonus interview this week with the writer and director Damian Leahy for Simple Like Silver. This is a title that is going to be exclusive to this weekend Severance sale. Now, they said some interesting things about this on the podcast. They normally said, as part of these sales, hey, Four Flies with Gray Velvet, we can only sell it during the sale weekend, wink, wink. And then if you email us next week, you might be able to get it. They never really announced that before, but this one, they came out and said, hey, we are only printing 1,000 copies of this. They are exclusive to the 2 bundles. One of them is the just the disc bundle with all 10 releases they're doing. The other one is the Argento bundle because Damien had cast Christina Marcellic in his film Simple Like Silver, and he's the one that got her to come back for bonus features. I talked to Damien this week after we had done our interview, and he said, yes, it is legitimately only going to be for sale during the sale. And if you really want it, now's the time to get it because it is not going to be one of those things that you can get at conventions. They only made the deal for this weekend, and it's not one of those things that they're going to hold on to inventory for. I saw this film. I honestly think that a lot of people are going to like it. If you are into, especially if you're into like experimental cinema, it's not a dialogue riddled film. It is narrated through the entire film. It's really well shot, full black and white, but it's a pretty movie, and I think he did a good job with it. But yeah, did an interview with him, and it's 3.5 hours long, and I cut a good 75 minutes out of that interview. So check it out if you are into it.
I'm assuming that 75 minutes was just complete juicy details that we'll never be able to hear.
The sad thing is about half of it was.
That's about right.
Yeah. Let's see. Something being better than Maxine isn't saying much, but I'm glad you dug it. What are we? I don't understand the hate for 61st. Maybe because I'm a lady and hate Epstein. I think all of us watching probably hate Epstein. I thought it was one of the better small budget mumblecore horror. Well, I don't think so. But hey, to each their own. I'm glad you liked it. Kino is releasing the Fatal Vision TV miniseries on Blu-ray on September 10th. This is coming with a new audio commentary by Daniel Kramer, who's been on the channel before. A lot of people didn't see this coming. Glad this is getting out there. This is one that some people saw for a long time because they got some big names in it. Barry Newman is in this, Gary Cole, Andy Griffith. And yeah, I'm glad people are going to be able to see this. Ooh, Kev just got out of seeing Longlegs, and I am jealous.
I'll be seeing that in 12 hours.
I had planned to see it this weekend, and then my wife left about by now it's about 4.5 hours ago, and won't be back till Sunday night, and I can't watch it without her, or she will murder me.
You just don't mention it, and then you just act all surprised when you go see it next week.
Ooh, I'm seeing this for the first time.
Wink,
yeah,
wink.
If I didn't have my kids with me, I may have done that. Silent Mandible says Carl Malden looks like W.C. Fields. All right. Next, November 12th, VCI is releasing Charlie Chase at Hal Roach, The Late Silence from 1927. VCI been on a little bit of an uptick in quality. I won't say it's been huge yet. But I hope that people that want this get it. Silent films don't always do super well on physical media, and I'm glad that VCI is doing some of them. Obviously, there's some other companies that have done it. So if you are into silent films, I would say don't wait. Try to get this early just to speak with your wallet on these because it's getting hard for people to invest in films like this unless it's something that people, I don't know, like Inferno for TerraVision wasn't one that was highly sought after, it seemed like, but then it sold like hotcakes. So I'm not sure.
I will for people plug an episode we did with a moderator on Reddit called Captain Gibbs, who is like probably the biggest resource on silent film I've ever personally met. Chris did a great interview with him. So if you're looking for recommendations, I don't remember how long that interview was. It's been a while, but I'll plug that for anyone who's interested in that sort of thing.
Interesting. It's a good plug. Film Masters, who is absolutely, I think, one of the more important boutiques right now. They are, wow, I just saw the title of this carried over. The Charlie Chase title. This is obviously not Charlie Chase. Night of the Blood Beast and Attack of the Giant Leeches is coming out through Film Masters on November 12th. These are 2 titles that were produced by Roger Corman. And on this, we've got full commentary tracks by Tom Weaver and the Weaver players for both films, full color inserted booklet for this release, and then we've got a comparison video showing the impact of the restoration, which, again, very grateful when labels do that. I think it's a really great way to show the work that they're doing. And they put on the 8mm version of Night of the Blood Beast on here, which is super rad. And then we got an all new documentary by Ballyhoo Motion Pictures. And again, these are really, really great restorations generally. But beyond that, Filmmaster stuff is always going for like $16 when it comes out, $16 to $18 everywhere. You should be able to find it fairly cheap. Hamilton Book will probably carry this on the first week for like $14.99. That's it.
I need to get more into their stuff. I have not bought anything from Filmmasters, but I've heard nothing but really good stuff.
I could recommend 2 titles right off the bat.
Okay.
Hint,
write them down.
We've been on both of them.
Oh, have we?
It's over the shoulder. The orange title right there. That's The Swiss Conspiracy, Jack Arnold film. The movie's not great, but the extras just perfection. And then the big one that's coming up that I would recommend is Door to Door Maniac, starring the one and only Johnny Cash.
I did hear about that one. Yes, I did. I remember that announcement.
It's got a B feature on that featuring Aram Catcher, and we did a documentary on Aram Catcher for that release. It's going to be great.
Oh, look at that, Tubi. That's perfect. Tubi for that one too. Absolutely.
All right. Agreed with Joel here. Great to have decent versions of these public domain titles finally, plus actual great extras. Ash says June and this month have emptied. I imagine you're talking about your wallet because there's been some great releases. Next up, speaking of stuff with someone's favorite productions, man, this one is exciting. Not Quite Reality is an up-and-coming boutique that just started fairly recently. They've only done, I think this is number 3, 4, and 5, or 4, 5, and 6 of their releases, something like that. They are focusing on found footage films, and this first title is The Flock from 2022. This is coming with an exclusive laser cut window box slipcover that is really great looking. It's going to have the flock symbol cut out of it, and then it's got a design on the inside that you can see. But the big thing is this has the director's cut with an introduction by the director, and then it's the first time this cut has been available anywhere. And then beyond that, we have a visual essay on this release called What Makes a Cult? And we worked together with our good friend Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast to make this. And essentially, our visual essay on this is the tactics that cults use to rope people in. And it's one of the favorite things that I think we've created so far. But if you like found footage, their releases have been great so far. This one is going to have all kinds of extras if you want the full bundle. But there's also a second disc on this. We've got a bonus movie called The Devil's Children. It's by the same director. He does an intro for that as well. We've got some commentaries. We got some interviews behind the scenes and stuff. You've got a bundle you can buy with this big poster. There's some cards. There's a Join the Flock little certificate that you can get, or you can get the standard edition. This is just super fun.
You know, I love the, I guess that is a form of window box, you said, right? I guess that would count as one. I miss those in Arrow. Like I see those every once in a while, and I'm like, man, those are awesome. So I love that design though. That's just really unique.
Yeah, those old white window box releases from Arrow before they got the different new style were special. From the same company, Not Quite Reality, they're also putting out Kip Cap from 2021. Now this one has been hard to see. Now, for those that are interested, again, this is another found footage film, but listen to this. This is a brutal homage to Man Bites Dog, sharing a country of origin and subject matter with the classic original, but it still manages to stand on its own as a gritty killing spree flick. This is going to have 2 bonus short films from the director with hard-coded English subs on there, and you've also got the opportunity to get this poster with this cool animated style on there, or you can just get the standard. And I will say, these are all very fairly priced from their website, so check it out if you've never looked for Not Quite Reality. Their website, notquitereality.com.
I love going on Letterboxd and I see members who have watched it 12. That actually intrigues me. That intrigues me quite a bit.
Always exciting to see that.
Yeah.
Next from them, they're teasing some future titles coming this summer. They've got Himalaya and then the Tahoe Joe Collection 2-pack. Himalaya is from 2024, Tahoe Joe is from 2022, and then Tahoe Joe 2 is from 2024 as well. Stan says, just heard about this. A Man Bites Dog is one of my favorites. Seems right up your alley then. Yeah, they do some good stuff. We have a Universal Pictures Tremors 7 movie collection Blu-ray Steelbook coming on August 20th. This thing glows in the dark. It's going to be out on 5 discs. They will be stacked, undoubtedly. It's a Steelbook. There is no way to hide discs in there. The unfortunate thing,
companies should have did the Walking Dead thing. Didn't they used to have those big beefy like steel books when they first came out?
Yeah, the extended ones, yeah.
Yeah.
The big unfortunate thing about this is there's nothing new. It's the 7 movies, at this point, not all of them had been on Blu-ray, so they're releasing this on a standard, and that's nice that you can get them all on Blu-ray. However, it's Tremors. Like, so many people would love to make bonus features for Tremors. So many people could do commentaries for these. You've got a lot of obviously we don't have Michael Gross anymore, but we've got a lot of the actors still alive that would love to talk about these. I mean, Jamie Kennedy's on a podcast all the time. Let him talk shit about his movies.
That would be an instant sell for me to buy this again. Say you included the lost pilot episode of that Kevin Bacon one that did not get picked up by the Sci-Fi Channel. Like, just include it. Let us see it. Yeah. Like, if it was so bad, I would buy anything that said they included it. But we'll probably never get to actually see that show. Like,
no
form of it.
However, some of the DVD collections are putting the full other produced TV show, the one that actually aired.
Which is a wild show. Dean Norris, way before Breaking Bad's in it, for anyone who hasn't watched it. So it involves Ghost for one episode. It's a wild show. But honestly, I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. Next up, this is by far the biggest news of the week. We got a Godzilla size announcement that in September, Toho themselves is releasing Godzilla -1 on 4K and Blu-ray in the US. Well, technically, like, it's not really in the US. They're taking the Japanese release and putting English subtitles on the Japanese release of the film, but nothing else is getting subtitled or translated. So this is going to have, we are sitting at 4 discs, and the only thing that there are subtitles on is the film, the black and white version of the film, and that's it. The black and white version of the film isn't even on 4K. That's only on Blu-ray. You can buy this. You can get it shipped to you in the US. You can watch it at home, and this will likely be the best this film ever looks on home video, because Toho treats their stuff with care, and then when they license stuff to other people, they kind of give them the shambles. However, there's so much stuff on this disc, or discs, that you just will not have access to unless you speak Japanese, which is crazy.
I can't remember. Isn't there like some weird thing where with the American Godzilla with them, like the way they release stuff? I can't remember. I feel like there was something about that.
Isn't there some weird what?
Isn't there like a weird thing of like a time limit of how long they can like release stuff or something between like when the American Godzilla stuff comes out and when their stuff comes out in the US or something? I don't know. I remember Shin Godzilla took forever to come out because of something weird.
The rumor that I was told is we can't get another physical media release of a Godzilla title within 1 year of the US Godzilla titles coming out.
That's what it was. Okay. I thought it was something about it. I couldn't remember what it was.
If that's the case, there could be another version of this that comes out next summer that finally has everything.
Yeah.
Point Break was trying to point out that I misspoke when I said Michael Gross wasn't with us. I meant Fred Ward. And then I tried to correct that in the chat and misspelled it to Fred War. So I apologize. Sibner wants to know, do you think there's time that if they get feedback, they'll add subtitles to the extras? No, not at all. They are porting over the exact same disc. Which is a mess. Like, this is rough. I mean, they're shipping the booklet still with Japanese, and I've got nothing against that. Like, I'm a media book fan. I buy stuff from Germany all the time, But this of something that it just won an Oscar. This is something that everybody wanted. And this is what you're doing. Like, I know a lot of people jumped on this. They sold probably thousands of copies in the last 2 days of this
Yeah.
title. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one good thing is we can use our apps now on our phone and say scan, but that's kind of they could do that as well and then send it off to the US and UK and stuff. They could do
Yep.
the same thing I'm going to do.
And I've done that. I've read media book booklets with Google Lens, and first off, it takes a long time. It's not worth it. But second off, just double the amount of pages you're printing and put it in English as well. All right. This was a title a lot of people were after. In the US, we are getting on September 10th from RLJE Late Night with the Devil in a Blu-ray steelbook. And a lot of people up in arms about this because it's a Blu-ray steelbook, even though the filmmakers have come out and said, we prefer you to watch this on Blu-ray. Of course, Germany's releasing Late Night with the Devil on 4K because Germany. But this is the preferred method of home video viewing for Late Night with the Devil. This will not get a Shudder release through OCN. That's been confirmed multiple times over. This is the US release, and it appears there's likely not even going to be a standard release. It's just going to be this steelbook.
Now, I have a question. Do you think they used AI to design the cover for this?
Yeah,
thought I'd get the chat going a little bid.
There's 5 fingers, so it's going to take a little longer.
They had to edit that.
What'd you think of the film?
I like it. Yeah, I know the controversy. I'll joke about it, but honestly, I think it's a pretty good movie. I saw it in theaters. I thought that was kind of a cool way to see it, like a late night show type thing, and I think there's a lot of good details in there. It's disappointing that they decided to take 3 pictures and make them through AI, but does it hinder the film for me? No. I mean, it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but it's a good movie. It's a really good movie there.
Yeah, I thought it was good, not great. I definitely recommend people check it out. I think it's worth it. It's not the masterpiece that a lot of people were calling it, though. I think.
No, I mean it's always funny to me, and I'm not going to say it never happens, but it's always interesting to see how many horror movies are called like the horror movie of the year in like February and March, and it's like, will I even remember this movie when we get to December? And there's much better things that have come out, but yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it.
I would agree with all those points. Yeah. The next one, RLJE is also doing a steelbook on the same day, September 10th, Blu-ray steelbook of the newest Walking Dead. Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. And what's interesting, I thought this was just meant to be a limited series, and it's only done after this run. But this says season 1 on the steelbook. So now I'm confused. I'm not like attached to. I'm not attached to Walking Dead or anything like that. So if anybody has an idea for that or they know what's going on, I'm very curious. But yeah, this says Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live season 1. It would be very odd if this was a limited series and that's how they released it, obviously.
I have not seen anything Walking Dead since about halfway through season 3. So I don't even know what's going on here.
Not at all trying to one up or anything, but I love how close we went through this. I stopped at the end of season 2. So I think you got like 5 or 6 episodes on me.
Yeah, like I thought when Darabont left, it was very obvious. I was like, okay, we're done. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. The big one other than Godzilla this week, and this will all be in English. September 30th, Second Sight is releasing The Hitcher on 4K. People have been asking about this for, I think we're going on 2.5, almost 3 years now.
Now, you did put the delay that they recently just put in, right? You included that.
There are 8 people watching that just shit their pants. The Hitcher is coming on 4K in a giant box from Second Sight. It's a great movie. Like, if you've never seen it, yeah, it's rather good. This is a dual format edition with both 4K and Blu-ray, with the main feature and bonus features on both discs, which I love that they're doing that. But furthermore, I think this is the first Second Sight release in a long time. They are listing the Blu-ray disc as being region free, which most of their
Interesting.
Blu-rays have been region locked, which means, is somebody actually going to release it in the US? Because I'm very curious if they are, like, how they're getting away with the region free disc.
Now, out of curiosity, I don't, it's not like the Romero stuff where I'm a lot more familiar why this has been so difficult in the US. What's the deal with the Hitcher? I've actually never known why the rights have been as difficult as they seem to have been.
I don't know if it's been the rights necessarily. I think it was the elements for the most
Hmm.
part. Warner had them locked up, and they thought they didn't even have the elements. They allowed Second Sight to go search for them, and Second Sight themselves in the Warner vault tracked down the elements for the Hitcher and were able to do a full restoration.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't realize that. So that's a much better ending than when Scream Factory tried to find Event Horizon and came up empty-handed.
Yep. Yep. So details on this. We've got new 4K restoration by Second Sight from the OCN, supervised and approved by the director. The HDR on the 4K will be Dolby Vision, so don't have to worry about that. We've got Dolby Atmos on there as well. New commentary by Alexandra Heller-Nicholas. The archival commentary with Robert Harmon and the writer Eric Red. We've got scene-specific commentary with Robert Harmon, Eric Red, and a few other people. We got a projection booth episode of this with Robert Harmon and Rutger Hauer. We've got a new interview with Robert Harmon that's 41 minutes. New interview with Eric Red that's also 41 minutes. New interview with C. Thomas Howell that's almost a half an hour. Essentially, there's a lot of stuff on this. New interview with John Seal that's 10 minutes. New interview with Mark Isham that's 15. We've got Lee Singer on the evolution of the Hitcher and Rutger Hauer. That's 20 minutes. A short film by Robert Harmon that is brand new restored on this. That's 35 minutes. We've got a handful of other short films, it looks like, some other featurettes. How do these movies get made? Featurette that's 40 minutes long. And then on top of all of that, a rigid slipcase with new art by Adam Stothard, 200-page hardback book with exclusive Robert Harmon interview by Lou Thomas, Eric Red interview by Matthew Thrift, new essays by Heather Drain, David Kitteridge, Craig Ian Mann, Rebecca McCallum, Megan Navarro, and John Towson, with an archival Fangoria article and behind-the-scenes photo gallery. But then more, Eric Red's original screenplay book and 6 collector's art cards. I mean, what else could we possibly ask for other than a duplicate release to go with it of the remake, which I would love to have.
Yeah, it's the remake is in that rare example of it's not as good as the original, but you know what? It's not that bad. It's pretty good.
Right. Brendan is asking, he says, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no such thing as a region locked 4K, right?
There's like 4, right?
Actually, it's gotten a lot worse
Oh, wonderful.
since you checked in. There is such thing as a region locked 4K. There is not supposed to be in the UHD standard. There is nothing written about region locking. However, it's the same authoring as we get for Blu-ray. So it's literally like clicking a bubble in a computer program. And some companies have supposedly accidentally clicked the bubble to region lock it, and others have done it fully on purpose, knowing what they were doing. For the longest time, there was only a good 3 or 5 region locked 4Ks. We are now almost up to 20 region
Now,
locked
my
4Ks.
question is, how has Scream Factory repeatedly hit that button as many times as they have when I'm looking at the list here? It's like
And
3
gotten
times.
caught. Yeah, multiple times. In fact, I think they're up to 4 because Weathering with You was them as well.
I forgot. I didn't count that one. Yeah. So yeah, it's Brotherhood of the Wolf, People Under the Stairs, Weathering with You, and then Thanksgiving 4K.
Thanksgiving is not Scream Factory though. That's a.
Oh, is it not? I looked at the. I thought it might have been them because it looked like the same.
I think
Okay,
that's
then
a
it's
German release, so maybe it is only 3.
Yeah.
Yes, there are a bunch of region locked 4Ks out there, but the good thing, most of them are Italian and German 4Ks. So, yes. Craig says, I'm very curious how and why the rights holders are okay with the region free discs. if you're talking about 4K, it's not in the standard. There's not supposed to be any of them. Yes, the 4K of Planet of the Vampires is also locked. That's from PlayOn in Germany. All right, that is The Hitcher. You can pre-order that now from Second Sight, from Orbit, from Diabolic, from Atomic Movie Store, from Grindhouse, from Amazon UK, from Brother Belial, from basically everywhere.
And Second Sight's had such a wild year. Like they've had a good year.
And we're still supposedly getting Possession in 4K from them soon. Brendan is saying, so the people that patent LED 4Ks wrote in some sort of universal contract that they can't be locked. Interesting. Not necessarily like that. When they made the actual format of Blu-ray, they had a whole section based on region locking the discs. 4K, they've completely left that part out. It's clearly possible, says Craig, and given that rights holders would insist on it, I think, hell, we got yelled at that the subtitles were optional on some of our discs. I remember talking about that with you. Yeah, the big thing is it's not even supposed to be an option, even though it clearly is.
Yeah, and I mean, it just seems like one of those things companies are holding on to, even though it's inevitable. I mean, when we had DVD, was it 6 regions, 9 regions? It was a
I think
lot.
it was 9.
Yeah, it was like I think it was like 1 to 9 or something, and then we went down to 3, and then we're supposed to be down to 0. But
yeah, yep. All right, so
which I haven't tried it. I'm curious. Just before we move on, I apologize.
You're fine.
If the region-free Blu-ray players, will they unlock 4Ks, or is that a completely different thing? I haven't had one with that issue.
They do.
Okay.
My 4K player is a region-free 4K player, and yes, it will unlock region-free or region-locked 4Ks.
Good to know. Good to know.
So that is The Hitcher, and we are on to Radiance, which is an incredible looking month. October 28th in the UK, and then October 29th in the US and Canada, Blu-ray releases from Radiance of the Dai Gothic box set, which the art on this box is evocative as hell. So this is a collection of 3 of Japan's most famous ghost stories that have haunted people for centuries. We have the Ghost of Yatsuya, the Snow Woman, and the Bride from Hades. And on the inside, we've got all this gorgeous original art on the cases. Loving this. We got new 4K restorations of the Bride and the Snow Woman, an HD digital transfer of the Ghost of Yatsuya. Newly designed box and booklet by Time Tomorrow, 6 postcards with the original archive imagery from the films, an 80-page booklet in this with new writing by Tom S. and Zach Davison, and then new special features on all 3 films. And this looks amazing. I mean, this looks like an incredible box set.
I feel a little bitter every time a Radiance thing gets announced because I was dumb and didn't get the subscription.
Right? Same
I feel
here.
a little bitter every time.
Oh, love it. Second Sight is... Oh, yeah, that's right. Second Sight is working on Dead Man's Shoes. Thanks, Gary. I forgot about that. They teased that. God, that's been like 9 or 10 months, something like that.
I mean, you know, when you've done... Now they're going to have to wait like another year, so it can be like with The Hitcher. Everyone's just asking for it.
Yeah, this looks rather good, and these are October releases, so they're leaning into the horror side. This next one is Dagra Magra from 1988. This is coming on October 28th in the UK and October 29th in the US and Canada. Man wakes up in an asylum with no memory. Dr. Wabayashi helps him to recall his past in which he killed his bride on their wedding day. Part of his memory becomes linked to another doctor, Dr. Masaki, and a manuscript called Dagra Magra. As the 2 doctors treat him, reality and fantasy become blurred, and the patient becomes unsure of his identity or his doctor's experiments. This is the final feature film by the same director of Funeral Parade of Roses. It's an adaptation of the celebrated novel by Kusaka Umeno, a period-set gothic tale with a sense of dreamy dread. And on this one, we got an audio commentary by the director from 2003, interview with the director from 2003, a visual essay by Julian Ross from this year. We've got instructions on Ahadara Sutra, a popular Japanese chant delivered by Dr. Masaki in the film. And the one that does that is legendary street performer Hiroshi Sakano. That's pretty cool. We've got the limited edition booklet that comes in all these with some writing on it. And yeah, this looks, again, like a really great release.
When you first started reading the synopsis, the first thing I started thinking of was Assassin of the Czar. That was like the first thing that came to mind. Have you watched that yet?
I have, yeah. I think
Yeah.
I'm caught up. I think I'm caught up in all the Death Crocodile releases.
Yeah, it's like Asylum, Lost Memory, killing somebody. I was like, okay, I've seen this before. I'm there.
Yeah. Death Crocodile is well, I won't say too much. Craig's watching. They're amazing. Check out everything from Death Crocodile. Then the one that I think I saw more people excited about, which
That
I
artwork is so
get
good.
because it's a big deal, but October 28th, the UK is getting a Blu-ray release of Haxan from 1922. This has never been released on Blu-ray in the UK, so that's why it's a big deal. It's coming in this hard box release, just like they did for Planet of the Vampires and Messiah of Evil last year. This is a 2K restoration presented with 3 optional scores, which is really cool. We've got an alternate cut of the film with narration by William S. Burroughs. We've got the esoteric cut, an alternate cut of the film with English inner titles and a soundtrack by Lawrence Larissi. We've got a French version of the film with narration by Jean-Pierre Calfon from 1990. We've got an introduction by director Benjamin Christensen from 1941. Lots of archival extras on here. We've got a visual essay by Vito A. Rollins, author of the forthcoming BFI Film Classics edition of Haxan. And then an audio commentary by Guy Adams and A.K. Benedict on this. Plus, of course, an 80-page booklet with new writing by a whole bunch of people you've heard of, including Kat Ellinger, Brad Stevens, Daniel Bird, Pamela Hutchinson. I mean, this is going to be just an amazing release from them.
I have a question. So when you get to do the awards at the beginning of next year, do you already knowing who's going to win like best art of the year? Is that like nice to know looking at this?
uh, I know before we go live who won, sure. This is pretty great art though.
Yeah.
I would almost be surprised if this wasn't nominated. Craig says limited in quotation marks to 6,000 copies. Yes. I don't know the question.
I think it's because like 6,000, I guess, seems like kind of a big number now. Like that's what
it is, but they're expecting a lot of people to buy it from the UK. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is funny going up to like I have that 10 Commandments and Ben-Hur sets, like those old Blu-rays, and it's like limited to 100,000, and I'm like, all right,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yep. So yeah, this will be limited to 6,000, and it'll likely sell out fairly quickly. I know that Craig's questioning the word limited there, but yeah, it'll probably sell well. Then this is the big one. I Vampiri, aka Lust of the Vampire, is coming on Blu-ray on October 28th from Radiance in the UK only, not the US. This is going to have a 2K restoration of the film with Italian and English audio, an audio commentary by Tim Lucas that was recorded last year. We've got a featurette on the making of the film. We've got an interview with Lamberto Bava. We've got an interview with Leon Hunt, author of Mario Bava, The Artisan, as Italian horror auteur. We've got the booklet in this as usual. Again, looks great. This is one that I know a lot of people have wanted. This is the third time you've been asked about this, Zach. Yes.
It was not a coincidence, I promise.
Zach's show is in honor of Shelley Duvall. All right. That is I Vampiri. And then I mentioned Projection Booth Podcast just a minute ago. This week, they put up an episode on a Deaf Crocodile title. They did the Visitors from the Arcana Galaxy. And I was able to be on that episode with Sam Deegan. Go give it a listen wherever you get your podcast. It was a fun time. Okay, we have a ton of Kino titles to cover right quick. First, we got a question. Gary saying, how does Radiance Haxan compare to the Criterion? We haven't seen it yet, but based on what Radiance has done over the last a year and a half, it's hard to say that when they've only really been around for a year and a half. Everything Radiance has done that other labels have done has been at least a modicum of an improvement. I can imagine this is also going to be an improvement. And yeah, Projection Booth did do 2 Deaf Crocodile films in a row this week. I love that they're, and in fact, I think they might be doing one more if I remember right. I don't know if it's in order, but I think they're doing one more. All right, so Kino, we got a bunch of stuff coming out in September to cover real quick. September 3rd, Blu-ray of Naughty Girl from 1956. The big thing is we've got some Brigitte Bardot titles coming. This has an audio commentary by Sam Deegan, the person I just mentioned. Next title, John Travolta's Chains of Gold from 1991, coming on Blu-ray on September 3rd. I couldn't find any proof of extras for this title, so it looks like there may not be any extras on this. This is also supposedly the title that ended his first portion of his career and made him be out of work until Pulp Fiction revitalized it. So take that as you will.
Reevaluation incoming.
Exactly. September 10th, Kino is releasing Avenging Force from 1986. This is all the same as their previous release, except it will be on a bigger disc with subtitles and have a slipcover this time. It's one of those re-releases that they've been doing fairly recently. Then, next, another Brigitte Bardot title, 2 weeks in September. I know this is one a lot of people have been waiting on. Glad this is coming out. This is from 1967, releasing on September 10th on Blu-ray. We have an audio commentary by Adrian Martin on this one. Adrian is one of the more like classy, heady type of commentators. And then The Antichrist. This is from 1974. This is getting a 4K release as part of the Kino Cult line on September 10th. This is going to have all of the same features that were on the Blu-ray release that they just put out a good, 2 years ago, I think. And now this is going up to 4K. I am not sure if this has HDR yet. Kino Lorber is not advertising that yet. But as far as I was aware, I don't think it does. So we shall see.
Kino's has like the oddest relationship with 4K.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just coin flip it. You'll probably be right.
Well, the big thing is the one who did the restoration was Studio Canal, and a lot of the Studio Canal 4Ks do not have HDR.
Right.
Humboldt Horror Honey is reminding everybody, Kayla Janice just put out, or not put out, but you can now pre-order her Cockfighter book. I shared that earlier on social media. Make sure you keep an eye out on that. Sam Deegan's book also comes out here in just a couple months as well. Rolling Vengeance coming from Kino on September 10th. This one is going to have an audio commentary by Paul Karup of Conexploitation.com and Jason Pachonsky. And we got an interview with the actor Lawrence Dane. And that's it. I've not seen this one, but it looks really fun.
It's one of those ones I fear is like, that is such a cool cover. That's not in the movie. And it's going to be the most boring thing I've watched all week.
With the title like Rolling Vengeance, I feel like it has to be in the movie, but it's probably like the climax and only in it for 4 minutes or something. Moving right along, Link. Speaking of titles to get interesting 4K upgrades, Kino is releasing Link on 4K on September 10th. This is from 1986, and the Odd Monkey movie continues its legacy here. This one I think does have HDR because the Le Chat Qui Fume 4K release of this had HDR, but we'll see.
I like Richard Franklin. I haven't seen this, but I'm curious to see this one.
It's not a good movie. It is fun.
I'm sold
For the most part.
There. I'm good. I've already bought it.
Oh gosh. Okay, so this is a weird one. September 10th, and I don't usually share their announcements like this, but this one just struck me as, why is Kino even touching this? September 10th, they're doing a DVD of Louis C.K.'s Sorry Not Sorry. So listen to this synopsis. Through candor and surprising humor, which is just a weird word to use there, Sorry Not Sorry sheds new light on the nuanced experiences of 3 women who spoke up about comedian Louis C.K.'s sexual misconduct over the years. By re-examining Louis C.K.'s behavior and his unprecedented comeback, alongside the testimonies of these women, this documentary invites viewers to question whose stories and whose art we value and at what cost.
See, I'm really glad you read the synopsis before I made a joke. I just thought it was like a new like stand-up of his attempt to come back or something, and I'm really glad I didn't make a joke now. So I appreciate that.
This is such a weird, like, I feel like they wanted to do something on cancel culture and it just feels tone deaf. I think the design of the cover is hilarious because the red circle makes it look like a clown nose on his face. But other than that, like, the guy was selling out Madison Square Garden and all that before all this went down. How can you say unprecedented comeback when he's not like starring in films or anything? He's made like a couple odd here and there stand-up shows, and that's it. I'm very confused.
And you said it's only DVD as well, right? Like this
Only
is
DVD. Yeah, they have no faith that this is going to sell like gangbusters. Anyways, this is an odd one, to say the least. All right, next, September 10th, 4K release from Kino. This is the next Kino cult title. Zoltan, Hound of Dracula, is getting a 4K release. No new features on this. This is just an upgrade to 4K. This does include the Lee Gambin and John Harrison commentary that was on the previous release. It's a decent movie. Glad it's here for people to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much. Zoltan just makes me think of Dude, Where's My Car? That's all I got.
La Femme is the next title. This is from 1969, another Brigitte Bardot. This is coming on Blu-ray on September 17th. This one has an audio commentary by Manuela Lazik. And that's that. September 17th, we're also getting a Blu-ray of the number 17 in the Forbidden Fruit, the golden age of the exploitation picture line that they've worked on with Something Weird. And this is going to be Maniac from 1934. This is a brand new 4K restoration from the original camera negative and some other 35mm elements that were preserved by the UCLA Film and Television Archive, and is a big cooperation with Something Weird to get this out. So glad this is coming. I know a lot of people have wanted a better release of this for quite some time. Yeah. Have you checked out anything from Something Weird or anything from this line?
No, I haven't. That intrigues me though. I need to look at more of their stuff. Kino, I think I have everything is just mainline except for Fear and Desire. I think that's the only non-mainline title from them I don't have.
That makes sense. V Toyvon says, very disappointed that Kino is doing upgrades for Kino Cult rather than new titles. That's lazy. I 100% agree. Completely agree. This is something when they announced it, I was like, great, we're going to get new titles. And we are. We have gotten some. I'm not saying that all of them are upgrades, but I wish they had stuck to new ones. Sibner is saying, so they broke off from AGFA, correct? They were never with AGFA. They cooperate on many of their releases, but they are not a part of AGFA. Something Weird is its own full-on entity. They've worked with Shout Factory. They work with AGFA. They work with Kino Lorber. They work for a handful of others. Mimic was not announced as Kino Cult, Sibner. It was just announced from Kino, as far as we know. It may be Kino Cult. All right. Next up, Raro Video releasing Madness from 1980 on Blu-ray on the 17th of September. This is a Fernando DeLeo title. We got an audio commentary by Troy Howarth all by himself on this one, which normally he's with a couple other people. So I'm curious to see how he's going to do for this one. Most of his stuff has been with partners for the last couple of years. That's Raro. All right, back to the non-Kino stuff. Just today, we got an announcement for Kill from this year, getting an Amazon exclusive Lionsgate Steelbook for this one, coming in 4K. I find it hilarious that on the back of it, it says, include special features. Don't know what they're going to be.
You're going to find out.
Them.
It's just English subtitles. Includes English subtitles.
Oops, wrong button. That is coming on. Oh, we don't have a date for it yet.
Pretty
But
good
you can
movie.
pre-order it now.
Yeah.
You went and saw it already?
Yeah. So, when did we see it? I think we saw it last Friday. I think we went. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm dying to see that. Let's see. Sam says something weird was where we used to get the Herschel Gordon Lewis movies for over a decade on crappy DVD and a lot of other stuff. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this looks great. I'm glad you liked it. I need to see it. August 27th, Warner Brothers is releasing Watchmen Chapter 1 on 4K and Blu-ray. This is an animated version of the Watchmen comics. And this is in that odd CGI style that it's literally like the comic book itself and then CGI updated to make it move essentially. I personally don't love that animation style.
So it's a motion comic. Is that all it is? Is a motion comic?
Kind of. I think it's a little better than that. It's just not the one of the styles that I like very much.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know they had moved to something like that. I haven't seen anything from DC Animation in a while.
Yeah, not much. I think they did one Justice League release early this year.
I mean, I saw The Killing Joke, and I was like, well, that was terrible. And I think that might have been the last thing from theirs I saw.
Yeah. That's gonna have some bonus features on it. We got the art of adaptation introducing the story. There will be a chapter 2 coming, and knowing the way that they do the WB animation stuff, after they release chapter 2, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a steelbook of both of them together. So if you're a steelbook collector, you might want to hold out. They probably will at some point. Not a guarantee, but probably. Sibner says it looks like the What If animation on Disney Plus.
That's probably a great comparison. I've just never seen What If.
Stan says basically a motion comic, yes. So there's your answer. All right. The Boy and the Heron from last year is getting another 4K steelbook. This one is coming in the UK on October 7th from Elysian Film Group. As far as I can tell, it's got all the same features that we've got in the US and all that. But I think this steelbook fits the old Studio Ghibli and Shout Factory style that they've had for the last like 6 years or so. So this looks, if you're wanting to keep that style, this looks like the one to go.
Have you seen this yet?
I have not. I was waiting for the 4K disc, and I'm still kind of waiting to get it on sale. It looks good, though. I was very impressed. Kind of to change gears for a second. My kids have fallen in love with YouTube videos during like times when we're trying to get them to calm down, but they are quizzes, like movie style quizzes or music quizzes. And we watched an animation quiz together today, and there was a scene from Howl's Moving Castle, and it's the only animated, it's the only Miyazaki film my kids have seen, and it came up, and it was a still, and it had something blurred out, and you're supposed to guess what it was missing. And my youngest jumped up and went, "That's Howl's Moving Castle." He must have really liked it.
That's awesome.
Stan thought it said The Boy and the Heroine.
I'd watch that movie.
That'd be a good one, especially if Miyazaki was doing it. Hey, you alluded to this one earlier. September 24th, we are getting a Blu-ray of The Exorcism from Vertical Entertainment. No listing on features yet, which means there probably won't be much of anything on there. But it's Russell Crowe in another Exorcist movie.
Just watch The Pope's Exorcist. It is so much better. Like, let me try not to be too rough, because I know this was made like from Jason Miller's son, and I love The Final Girls. I think The Final Girls is fantastic. Me and you have talked about that, which I don't think has been released yet, but
nope.
I think he does. It's very interesting to watch him kind of explore that relationship he had with his dad, and obviously that's a big part of this. But this movie is just a generic Exorcist movie. That's all it is. It's incredibly generic, and I don't even think it finished. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like down the road we got a director's cut, because I don't think this is a complete movie. It was terrible. I can kind of see why it was shelved, because I think he made this one before Pope's Exorcist, and Pope's Exorcist came out a year ahead before this one, and it's just way more fun because you got Franco Nero as the Pope.
Interesting.
Just go for that.
Sibner is saying The Final Girls with Malin Ackerman. Yes. One of the writers for that is also the one that wrote this.
And directed this one. I think this.
Oh, that's right. He did.
Yeah, he directed it as well.
It's Joshua John Miller is his name.
Yes. Yeah.
Is Russell Crowe an actual exorcist now?
Only on a Vespa. Only on a Vespa.
With a frock. All right, September 16th in the UK, we are getting a 4K steelbook of Civil War. This is coming from EFD Films. This is really only different if you are after steelbooks. This will likely not get a steelbook release in the US, like most of the A24 titles have not. But yes, if you are after this, you can pick this up in a 4K steelbook. Sibner, nobody was saying there is not a Blu-ray of Final Girls. I think Zach and I both have the Blu-ray of Final Girls.
I do, yeah, somewhere on the shelf.
What was that about St. Maud?
I think that might be the only A24 steelbook I have. I think maybe Studio Canal put that one out.
Yeah, they're back in the day. Zavi did a handful of A24 release titles that got steelbooks. Like Hereditary got one. I think Lighthouse got one.
Hamilton Book had The Witch. I don't know if that was one they did as well, but I remember Hamilton Book was sold that forever.
Yeah, that was another Zavi one. Yeah. Oh yeah, a bunch of people are getting their Titanic 4K replacement discs this week. I just got noticed that mine shipped.
Yeah, I think mine will be here hopefully sometime soon. It's just not the Titanic if I can't hear that one off-screen comment of whatever was missing. It's just not the same.
All right. Last announcement of the night is just to highlight two of my favorite podcasts joining the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network. The New World Pictures podcast and Imprintcast are both joining the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network. If you have never listened to these shows, the New World Pictures podcast is dedicated to all thing New World Pictures. Love Roger Corman, love all the stuff that they've talked about. It's a very, very fun podcast. Go subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And then Imprintcast, very much dedicated to things being put out by Imprint Films right now. And speaking of somebody that just joined, Jeremy Long and myself have been on an episode of Imprintcast in the last year, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. Tony's usually in the chat every Thursday. He was here earlier. Not sure if he's still here. But yeah, both of these joining the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network with Zach's podcast, with mine. It's an honor. These guys are passionate about what they do, and pretty soon you can find us all on the same website. We will be rolling out before the end of the year. Tony's here. What's going on, Tony? That's Imprintcast Tony right there. Can't wait to get more eyes and ears on the Imprintcast. Check it out. Go subscribe now. And that's it for this week. Let's talk about what is coming out next week, if you forgot, because there are some big titles coming out next week. It will be July 16th, and we are getting the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 4K, the Rocky Ultimate Knockout Collection in 4K, which supposedly fixed the 4K discs, and a lot of people never got those replaced, so they're going to go after this one if you really love Rocky. Then we got Brokeback Mountain 4K coming from Kino. That's a big deal. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie 4K steelbook being released. Perfect Days 4K from Criterion. Captain Phillips 4K steel from Sony. Phantoms 4K from Scream Factory. Columbo The Return from Kino Lorber. Black God White Devil from Criterion. Last Stop in Yuma County coming on Blu-ray from Wellgo USA.
Fantastic movie.
Brother Belial, you got like 5 shout-outs tonight already. Welcome. Last Stop in Yuma County, I just mentioned. This is the time to share. Hey, check out my channel tomorrow because the director of Last Stop in Yuma County is on the show. And the big exciting thing, not only did he direct what is literally at the moment my favorite film of the year so far, but also he's the director of the upcoming Evil Dead movie. And this is a name you're probably going to want to get familiar with. And can't wait for people to check this out. The dude loves his physical media. He is so eager to talk about it. And hope to have him back on the show soon.
And just about every movie with Jim Cummings is great. So you don't need any other reason to watch it.
And he's so good in Yuma County. So good. Monk, the 8th season comes out from Kino. Paternity from Kino as well. When 8 Bells Toll. Kino release number 43 for next week. Avon's Perfume coming next week. And that is it.
So
Any
what
of
is
those
next
that
to
you-
this Rocky Balboa? What is that red on the left side?
This?
Yeah. What is that?
It says includes the theatrical version and the director's cut in 4K. And that's a big
Okay.
deal because the previous release did not have both of them in 4K.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So yeah, lots coming out next week.
I'll be picking up the Rocky ones for sure, just because, I mean, I'm committed at this point. I've gotten all the other steel books, so
They
got my
look
money
nice
for one.
together, I will say that.
Yeah.
I'm just now seeing Jeremy's comment. It's SpongeBob Squirt Pong. Oh man. And then Jeremy says, can't wait for everybody to see the interview with Fran Galuppi from Last Stop in Yuma County tomorrow. It's dope. Check it out, everybody. Yeah, it's a really fun interview, and I hope people love it. That's it for next week. But now let's talk about some Ty West, my friend.
I love watching the comments get mad at me, so I'm prepared. I'm mentally prepared.
All right. So before we dive into it, I really wanted to ask this question earlier, and this is a weird question to lead off with. I'm dying to hear what you say, though. Who do you think, as another modern filmmaker, is most like Ty West?
Ooh.
I was trying to think about this earlier, and I couldn't think of anybody that is as eclectic as he's been.
I'm trying. I probably could have thought, because I was just talking about somebody having such an odd filmography, and I'm spacing on who I thought about, but not really. Like, as far as the mumblecore guys from like the mid 2000s, he's probably the most different. He probably made the most different stuff.
I'm not sure if Sibner is screwing with this, but he said Tarantino. I don't know that I would put Tarantino with Ty West.
I will be bringing up Tarantino at some point while we talk about Ty West.
It's understandable for a main reason that I could think of.
Yeah.
Ty West, he has been around for a while now. We're going on 2 decades.
Yeah, I think, let's see, when did so he got his career, from my memory, he started with Fessenden. He was an intern with Fessenden for a long time. You can actually still go on Glass Eye Picks and see a picture of him with Fesseden's kid as an intern. So I was like, oh, so he's really dug deep into this stuff. Because, I mean, obviously, Larry Fessenden, if you saw Maxine, you'll see a little cameo of him, which is great because he wasn't in the other two. Wait.
There was a confirmation that he had a vocal cameo in one of the other ones.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm now I'm gonna have to go rewatch it, see where I missed it.
Yep. Ooh, that might actually be the best one I've seen yet. Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah,
Sibner.
that's a good one. I wouldn't say any of his movies are similar.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Jeremy Long says, Ty West told me that he purposely challenges himself to do a new genre to homage with every film he makes so that he doesn't accidentally make the same movie twice. That's an interesting approach.
I mean, I will say, like, when I did this watch through very recently, going up to Maxine, there's a lot of them. You know, I'll go through and watch everything the directors put out, and I get so burned out. And I didn't get burned out with West. I'd throw something else in, and I was like, hey, I mean, this feels fresh. It still feels fresh, even if I don't necessarily love it, which I think is great. I think that's something more directors should do instead of making the same movie over and over again.
Right. So he's also done a lot of short films. We're not going to be talking about short films tonight.
Yeah.
He has acted a lot. We're not going to be talking about those.
I didn't include ABCs of Death or
right.
I broke up for a second. I apologize.
You're fine. That's what I was about to say too. He's helped with some anthologies. We're not going to talk about those. Can you hear me? Am I?
Yeah, I can. I'm exiting things out just to make sure it's not on my end. So I'll make sure it's not going to mess anything up. Okay, we're good. We're good. Yes.
Yeah. So we didn't include the anthologies. We didn't include short films. We're just going to do his feature films. Oh, Tony says watching Maxine tonight for my birthday. Happy birthday, Tony!
Happy birthday.
All right, let's get into these. What's going on, Mike? Ty West. At the moment, the ones that we're going to cover: The Roost, Trigger Man, House of the Devil, Cabin Fever 2, The Innkeepers, The Sacrament, In a Valley of Violence, X, Pearl, and Maxine. Now, I got to be honest. I did my best to be able to watch all of these. I did not get to all of them. So there's going to be a couple that I am just not going to be able to rate. I will leave them off, and we're going to discuss all of these from the bottom to the top. I will say right off the bat, I did not see The Roost. I did not see Trigger Man. I saw Cabin Fever 2 way back in the day, I think, but I did not do a rewatch of that one for this. The rest I'm gonna be happy to talk about. So let's get into it. Bottom of your list, Zach. What is your first pick for Ty West?
Trigger Man. That was one he did for Glass Eye Picks, I think in 2008. I'll double check. I think it's 2008. 2007.
Yeah.
2007. One thing I think I'll mention a lot with Ty West is in most of the movies he does, he's the writer, the director, and the editor. And certain movies, he definitely focuses on one more than the other two. And I think with Trigger Man, it's well edited. I think he is a strong editor, and I think it shows in Trigger Man. Really, the problem is the movie's just kind of boring. Like the last 10 minutes is pretty cool, but it takes like an hour and 10 minutes to get anywhere. And West is kind of a slow director anyway, but this one is not a fun slow at all.
Right. Yeah, I had never heard anybody even say that they'd seen this movie before we were talking about this. I can't think of anybody else that I've talked to that's ever seen this. So I'm glad that you did.
I think Kino put out a DVD. I think when I was looking recently, Kino put out a DVD years ago.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with him doing this trilogy, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's like, oh, it's Ty West. Let's make some money and put it on a Blu-ray. But
yeah,
we'll see. What is your next pick? Since I've got two on the bottom of my list that I didn't see.
Okay. The next one is Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. Yeah, Spring Fever. I actually, as low as it is, I don't hate this movie. I actually think it's pretty funny at times. Like it hasn't aged particularly well in some areas, but I definitely like, as far as kind of nailing Eli Roth, very juvenile humor, like from one to the next. I think it pays off well. I know West has disowned this movie. I would be curious to see his cut, because he says he did not get final cut, and that's what he's upset about. And I would be curious because, I mean, as far as movies where the studio ended up editing it, it's still coherent. It still makes sense. So, I mean, it was still a decent time. I don't know if I'll rewatch it, but I don't regret watching it.
So I'll throw in here because this is at the bottom of my list. So basically, it's the next one that I was about to mention. This is for me like not one that is super memorable. But the big thing, I think it's amazing that they got Ryder Strong back for this. I know he's not like a huge name, but it's surprising that he would come back after making Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, not Cabin in the Woods, Cabin Fever. To come back to do a sequel for it is very odd. I remember liking the comedy in it, and I gotta be honest, I didn't hate Eli Roth's Cabin Fever.
My favorite bit of information of that is apparently Peter Jackson would stop the filming of Return of the King repeatedly to make the cast watch Cabin Fever, which I think is hysterical. It's a very Peter Jackson thing.
I've never heard that. That is amazing. It's not a masterpiece or anything, and to hear that he disowns it because he didn't get cut is, it's rough. And I know that he was a young filmmaker at the time, but that always kind of pisses me off that the filmmaker doesn't get more of a say sometimes.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the first Cabin Fever was any type of major financial success. I assume it was kind of a modest video success, if I had to guess, just based on what kind of movie it is.
Right.
And if that's the case, how worried could you be? Like, obviously, the studio still wants it to make money.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's not like you have $250 million like LinkedIn. Like, just let them do something.
So I think I'm still one ahead of you since I had not seen two. So go ahead and name your next one.
All right. So I think this is where I get people start to get mad at me. Uh, so
Ready?
uh, yeah. So I have Maxine as my number 8. Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. Maxine. Once again, I didn't hate Cabin Fever 2, so I don't hate this movie. I am incredibly disappointed by Maxine, especially. I'm not going to spoil anything. I know there's plenty of people who still haven't seen it. Please go see it. It's, you have an interesting horror movie that's been very divisive, so you never know what side of the fence you'll fall on there. The third act I found not well written, like not well written at all. I thought it kind of dropped the ball pretty majorly, and kind of soured me on the movie a bit.
Interesting. I will say my piece in just a little bit. It's
Okay.
not quite this low for me.
Okay.
Uh, for my next one, it's going to be very easy to show because it's right next to me. The Sacrament
Okay.
is the one that I have next, which, again, I don't hate this movie, but I got to be honest. Um, this is just the most milk toast version of a cult movie you could have made. Like, this is so bland. When he was making this, I really wanted something very different, especially after what he had already proven that he could do about these about films before he made this. I think some of the other stuff that he did before this was just so much more unique. And when you're doing a story about this, it's about a documentary crew that goes in and traveling to Eden Parish or whatever it was
Edith
called.
Parrish, yeah.
I don't know. I felt like it could have been so much better.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked it better the second time I saw it. When I saw it this time through, I had a pretty passing understanding of Jonestown when I saw it the first time. I've definitely much more aware of what's happened at Jonestown, and it is a little bit like, is it lazy when you just pull in straight things from an actual tragedy? I mean, obviously he changes enough to make the story work. It's not like a congressman's going down there and gets assassinated or anything, but I mean, you're still pulling like quite a bit. And honestly, if there was a senator who got assassinated in this movie, that would actually be like really interesting.
Right.
But it's little things like that. I do like the movie. I like West is very purposeful in like this movie, even for a movie where you're talking about found footage, where it's a very chaotic genre. A lot of times, you are at the mercy of what your actors do, and you have got to go for it. So I've listened to an interview where he talked about like there's a scene where he has one of the cult members with the camera, and I won't spoil anything, but essentially they had to set up the camera, and he was so particular about blocking that if they messed up on that, they just had to redo it because it was like a 7-minute monologue afterwards. And that's interesting. I think that's a really like neat approach to go with found footage, but part of me is also like, does it kind of take away what found footage is, like that chaotic kind of element to that comes from it? I mean, it's good that you blocked and you cared about the lighting and you cared about how it looked, but I don't know if that's necessarily why people go to found footage.
I would agree there, and this is gonna be weird because it's not released yet. But I will say there's a really interesting written essay in an upcoming release from TerrorVision about found footage that I think people should check out. That I think really gives my feelings on this a lot. I didn't write the essay. We'll talk about it more in the next couple months when it gets announced. But found footage is such an interesting thing, and you and I believe we talked about this before, but found footage itself is not really a genre. It's more of a format, and the truth is that format serves certain genres better than others.
Mhm.
And I feel like for a cult focused film, it doesn't work that well. I think it's perfect for like a creature feature, but this film, I don't think it needed it. I don't think it does enough to warrant doing that format.
You didn't get to see the roost, but I'll kind of use it as kind of explain. They have a part where they have Noonan at the beginning, and he's like, um, setting up the movie. It's almost like, he's like a crypt keeper type character. And it's gonna be weird, but I actually think the Sacrament could have done well with this. Like, it's almost supposed to be like this 60 minutes sort of thing. This is we're presenting this footage for the first time on 60
Right.
Minutes. And I think putting that format at the beginning and the end, having that bookmark it, I think sells it better. Like, I don't know. I think if you kind of can, because I think found footage is all about immersion. So if you can
Yes.
immerse an audience in saying, hey, this is a 60 Minutes thing you've never seen before, or whatever program you want to go with, I think that gets that immersion in there much stronger. Because I think, for him, he's using music, he's using editing, he's using all sorts of things to tell a story. Found footage kind of goes back to that chaotic thing. You're at the mercy of sometimes really boring footage, and
Yeah.
on purpose. It's a purposeful decision. And something like this would be like, yeah, if you had a professional set of people editing this to tell a coherent story, this is the way they would do it. And that's interesting. And I do like that. But yeah, I do agree that it questions whether it was the right format to tell this story.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting choices there. I just think it might have been slightly more successful just done as a narrative film without the
Yeah.
found footage aspect. Anyways, what is your next pick?
Next one is since I just talked about the Roost, I will talk about the Roost again. That is the next one up. It is his debut film, and unfortunately, the only copy available is a DVD copy, which I do not know the quality. I've been told on your Discord that it actually looks okay. Um, Easily, you can find it on YouTube at about 240p. It doesn't look great. But having said that, it's a weirdly cozy little film. Like it's a horror film about it has a lot of ambition about it too. Like you're talking about like the zombie film where bats are the cause and all this other stuff. And it's like, oh, you're biting off way more than you can chew, no like pun intended. But as low budget as it is, it mostly works. It's something I would definitely watch in October. It would be something I really wish could get a better release because I think it's good. I think it's a legitimately good debut for him, and you can kind of see where little pieces of that story get used in like X and Pearl and things like that. So I think people fans of that they should definitely kind of check out where Ty West started because it was a good start. It was honestly a very confident start for him.
I still want to catch these, and I mean, I joked about it earlier, but I do hope somebody releases the Roost and the other one that has never had a blue. It would be nice. I mean, just for people that are coming to him now after this big trilogy, it would be a big deal to be able to discover those in HD. Next up for me, this one was maybe my most difficult placement on the list that I struggled with what would go next, and ultimately I ended up with the Innkeepers.
Okay.
So this one I like plenty, and for the rest of these, I'm not saying I don't like them. It is just lower on the list. I think they're all good movies and absolutely worth watching. This one for me is just a little forgettable. The humor doesn't always land well in this for me. I will say I love Pat Healy, and I'm so glad that he was in this because I think he might have been my favorite part of this whole movie. The Innkeepers is a fun ghost story type movie, and it's done. I mean, it's done fairly well. It is definitely showing that he is a competent filmmaker that sets out to do something and can do it start to finish. Does it with a good cast. It's an interesting story, and it's overall a successful film. It's just I don't know a little. This one is very like trope filled for me, a little too much. I feel like he does better going towards things that are shockingly unique, even though I guess X is probably a little trope filled as well. But yeah, this one is a little too on the nose for me.
I will save a lot of my thoughts for when I get to it. We're still a few places away for Innkeepers for me. But I do agree with a lot of what you said. I do. It is a very unique ghost story, and I think that's another one I will mention. West takes his time with a lot of setup. I think Innkeepers he takes more time than most of his films. But I don't know. I love the atmosphere. I think that's what kind of keeps it going.
Yeah,
Is how methodical he is with this type of kind of classical ghost story. I was kind of talking that with Perkins. Perkins is on the complete extreme when it comes to methodical pacing.
Right.
But West is not in a rush. He is never in a rush to get anywhere.
I would agree. And not a bad thing. I saw Craig earlier said, I get the feeling that Zach doesn't like slow films. I like slow films plenty when they're done well.
I do, but it's kind of like I use the example of like a drama. A good drama is sometimes one of the most captivating genres you can ever see. A really bad genre is the most miserable experience you can have watching, because you're putting a lot of confidence in your audience, and you're putting a lot of trust into them to stick with something.
Yep.
And if it doesn't pay off, they're gonna drown it out, or at least I am. I mean, it's like after like The Witch and It Follows, we got a lot of very slower art house
Yeah.
horror movies, which I love. I love a lot of those. But then you get stuff where they want to try, like a director who can't do it wants to try it, and it is just bland and boring. And I kind of feel the same way about like a slow movie. Like if you're going to do it well.
Totally get that. All right, sir. What is next up on your list?
I believe next is, yes, it's the Sacraments. So I'm not too far, much more headed than yours. I talked about a lot of it already, so I'll keep it short. Really, the only thing I really wanted to kind of shout out was Gene Jones in this movie, which is like the most appropriate name for a Jim Jones stand-in for an actor ever. For a guy who's, of course, he's a big Coen Brothers guy. He was in Last Stop at Yuma County, which we just talked about. So that's pretty cool. He's very good at playing this down to earth, typical, rural guy. That's kind of what he's always used for. And it's really cool to kind of see him in this. I know there's like that part where he's kind of doing the interview element, and from my understanding, that was like a very, very long one take originally before they edited it to show reaction shots and stuff. And it really just, I don't know, it shows how great of an actor he is. And, it's great to see him in a kind of a more mean role than, just Javier Bardem threatening to shoot him.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
So my next one is, like I said, I struggled between this last one, which was Innkeepers, and this one, and primarily this one I feel like I would just enjoy more on a rewatch, but I don't think I've rewatched this one for quite some time. The next one is going to be In a Valley of Violence.
Okay.
I like this. Big fan of the cast, especially. We got Ethan Hawke, Tessa Farmiga, James Ransone, who's pretty much always great, Karen Gillan, even John Travolta in this. This is a Western style movie. This came out back in 2016 in association with Blumhouse, which is still an odd pairing for this movie, but it's Ty West, so I get it. This works for the most part, and I think it's primarily because of Ethan Hawke. This guy, this is just one of those movies that I feel like in order, the range of things I saw him in with this, The Purge, the Before trilogy, the Schrader film that's amazing, of course, First Reformed, and a couple others that I watched, like all within like a good 8-month period, all together. He just solidified as one of the people that I respect more than almost anybody in this industry. He's so great at what he does. And this is no different. It was a little bit of a different character for him to play. It was a very different situation. It's not like he's in many films that are Western types like this. And it's competent, it's well made. It's just it didn't grab me like some of the others that are higher up on the list. Some of the others on the list I've been compelled to rewatch already. This one is just maybe lower on that like magnetic aspect for me. It doesn't draw me to it as quickly.
I'm going to hold off. I will kind of spoil my list. We're a while before we'll get to mine in it. So I will hold off for now. And for my next one, one we've already talked about is The Innkeepers.
Nice.
Not a whole lot more I'll add. I do like Sarah Paxton's character. It's funny. I actually just rewatched the remake of The Last House on the Left, and I didn't. It was just kind of a weird coincidence. I was like, oh, there she is again. No idea she would just randomly show up. So
That's
I
a
think,
good remake too, by the way.
yeah, it's I'll do a slight tangent here. I think the best way I have to describe it is a more violent than the original, but less mean. Like, I don't think the movie, like, I find like Wes Craven's original just a really mean spirited movie in a lot of ways. Where, without spoiling anything, I think there is a little bit more hopefulness in the remake, as violent as it can be.
Oh
It's not
man.
the parents have a different role. I'll put it out there without spoiling
Right.
anything, and I think that's interesting in itself. But
And
yeah,
it,
it's a good remake. I think she's really good in that as well. I think she's a very underrated actor. The scene I particularly love in this one is the one where she's going out to put the garbage out, and she's like putting attempts in for like 10 minutes, because I've been there. I've worked in these stupid jobs before where you have to take the trash out in the alley and you're just trying to figure out how to both open the trash can and put it in there.
yeah.
So I related to that quite a bit. It's got this like 2000s aesthetic to it that I love, like watching like the web pages and stuff like that. I don't know. It gives me that bit of nostalgia. And it's very cozy. I think he does like coziness in his horror sometimes, and I appreciate that. It's one of those ones where I would normally just kind of throw it on in October, because I don't know, it kind of fits the mood. I think
Right.
it does that really well.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good movie. Again, I like it plenty. It's great. People need to check it out. I feel like people sleep on the Innkeepers for sure. All right. I think we're down. I think I have 4 left. Do you have 5 left? Is that
I
right?
have 4 left.
Okay. So we both have 4 left. That feels crazy. All right. My number 4 then is Maxine. You've already talked about it, much lower on your list. I will say I agree with a lot of what you said. I think this is very similar to what I said about the Innkeepers. A lot of Maxine felt on the nose. Like, eh. I know it's very new, so I won't spoil things. But having this very iconic location as a major point in the film felt a little too on the nose. The I will say the practical effects were surprising in this. I was glad that they went as far as they did with a couple of the scenes. I did not love the third act either. I felt like it was telegraphed as literally the only option in the storyline. It was like the only way they could have ended the film. The reveal basically had to be that. There was no real suspense there for me.
I know somebody in the comments. I wish I could scroll back and see, but they wanted to kind of know my spoiler-free thoughts on the third act, and I guess I will do my best, because I agree exactly what you're saying. I actually don't mind the reveal. It is obvious, which is fine. I would want something a little bit more subversive, but I'm fine with that. My issues really come towards how the third act is treated. Like, to me, like this trilogy, which we're going to talk a lot more about here very soon, I'm sure, is to me just a slasher homage. Like,
Right.
you have X, which is your 70s slasher. You have Pearl, which isn't necessarily straight but it does some proto slashers like Straight Jacket, or whatever happened to Baby Jane, and stuff like that. Which has its ties to it. And then from everything we see kind of early on, Maxine is supposed to be this Jello sort of thing, which we do the guy in the black trench coat sort of thing. And I felt by the third act we had forgotten that this series was supposed to honor the slasher. Like, I think ending in a Giallo is a very smart way to do things, because it's like this idea that we're ending where it kind of began. At the end of the day, the slasher feels so enforced and owes so much to the Jally that, I don't know, by the end I was like, I felt like by the end we just weren't getting that anymore. It kind of almost felt like it felt closer to cruising, like a not as good cruising by the
Right.
end than, I don't know. It bothered me. And then, like I said, without going into spoilers, there's some elements that I've seen some debate of, like, if it's real or not. And I'm keeping that as vague as I can. I'm not spoiling anything for anyone, because it's just a quick thing where I almost felt like it was a last minute rewrite, because it doesn't quite make sense in its current form. and I'll keep that as vague as I can. But yeah, a lot of that just really threw me off at the end for Maxine because I think the first two acts are fantastic. I was really on board. I was very, very on board.
Well, and overall, like I know I just said a lot of negative about it, but that was just to qualify it at fourth place in a
Yeah.
very good filmography. Like
Yeah.
Ty West is very talented, and I like this movie a lot.
Mhm.
It's not a failure. It is a good trilogy for sure. I just comparing to the other two, I like those a whole hell of a lot more than this one. Like there's from my top three to this number four, there's quite a jump, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, because I do. I want to spend some time just for a second talking about the first two because I remember sitting in the theater and thinking, I think I like this more than Pearl, and because I liked so much of where it was going, I thought there's a character that is killed in the film, vague as it can be, and when they killed him off, I was actually very surprised, pleasantly surprised, because I was like, oh, okay, I'm with this. That's cool. Like
Yep.
I can get down with that. And I love the look of the film. I think as far as directing goes, like West does some fantastic stuff with the photography, like the way the lighting's used and things like that. Like, yeah, it has a lot of the '80s nostalgia we've been fed since Stranger Things, but I think he does it in his own way without it just feeling like here's this checkbox of the
Right.
'80s nostalgia we've been fed for a decade now.
All right. What is your number four then?
My number four is Pearl. So I'm sure we'll get to more on Pearl. So I'll keep it pretty short. Just great character study. Like I said, I love the Joan Crawford stuff. I think that's what it feels like mostly to me. I think Mia Goth. To me, as far as filmographies goes, it is. It's not carried by Mia Goth, but she is definitely the star of this. She is. I think when we get to what's obviously my number one, I think West is carrying that film a lot, and with here Goth is
Right.
carrying it. I think that's why they complement each other so well. But yeah, she's fantastic in it, and it's a great looking movie. It's gorgeous, a lot of confidence. So yeah, that's my number four.
We'll talk about that later, and I'm just going to mention my title because we're going to talk about it much longer from now. But X is my number three. We'll talk about that later for Zach.
Okay,
What is your number three?
my number three is House of the Devil. Yeah, I mean, this was probably my number one for a long time. I've always said that, if Halloween continued to be an anthology film, the third one is a success somehow. I've always said a lot of stuff like this, The Guest, and the Seance with Simon, the guy who wrote for Wingard for all those years. I wish Barrett,
You're
Simon
next.
Barrett. Yeah, all those always felt like this trilogy of these could have been like Halloween anthology movies, like
Yeah, I
down the
could see
road.
that.
Yeah, and House of the Devil, I think I think it is so phenomenally directed. It's a little loose plotted, in my opinion, but I think that's on purpose. I think it's very much trying to invoke the era as purely as it can, and I think he does such a great job with that. It looks gorgeous. It to me, it never loses the illusion of what of just being a lost movie from the '70s and '80s, and he deserves a lot of praise for that because this is still 2009, so still fairly early in his career, probably about the midpoint of his career.
Funny enough, this is my number two, so we'll talk about it now in more depth. For anybody that has seen the X Pearl Maxine trilogy and you like the 70s aesthetic, 80s aesthetic, and the Wizard of Oz aesthetic, this is his 90s aesthetic. This is very much Ty West living in the 90s. It is a very, very interesting movie. I will say, very little about the scene, but I think the Greta Gerwig scene that
Mhm.
everybody knows when you say the Greta Gerwig scene is his best directed scene in his filmography. I think it is literally his most tense scene. It's his most surprising scene. It is his most subversive scene because nobody expects that scene to be carried out the way that it does. I also completely love everything about just this odd setting that they build in this house, it is terrifying just in that it exists. And when you are here and living in that moment and seeing the weirdness just carry out in the rest of the film, this movie's actually probably the scariest of his films. I think it's very competently made for how early it was made. But yeah, House of the Devil is fan fucking tastic.
I would agree that it's definitely his scariest. I think it's I think it might be the only time in his career I would say that would be his focus. Like purely his focus was to be scary. I think Innkeepers does it more towards the end, but I think throughout this one's scarier.
Yeah, I would agree there. What is your number 2? Which anybody paying attention should not be surprised.
In a Valley of Violence. I think this. I'm a big Western guy. I really love. I love Westerns. But one thing that I think he does so well here, and I said I was going to mention Tarantino, so this is my time to do it. As far as spaghetti Western homages, I think this is stronger than Django. Django is fun. I love Django. This isn't to hate on it, but I don't know. I mentioned this to somebody. I wish I could remember who. But the one thing that always like distracts me from Django when we talk about like spaghetti westerns and stuff like that is just how overly polished that movie is. And the thing I like about Valley of Violence is, this isn't a knock on West at all, but it feels cheaper. It feels like an affordable type of movie. It doesn't feel like this massive
It's realistic.
blockbuster. Yeah, it feels intimate for that. And I think it's, I mean, you talk about the performance of Hawk, but I mean, the performance of Travolta is fantastic. And I think they do such a good job making him an interesting character, because before I saw the movie, I just assumed he was the transgressor in this issue. And in reality, he is kind of in a rock and a hard place. And I think he performs that excellently all the way through. He gives a lot of nuance to that character.
Yeah, I would agree there. Obviously, there's a lot there.
And I mean, Jumpy the dog is an excellent actor, probably the best actor in the movie. So congrats to Jumpy. I didn't know a dog could pull a horse, so that's pretty cool.
That's true. All right. So if you are taking a tally of everything that we've talked about so far, you know that my number 1 is all that's left, and that is Pearl. So for me, I think Pearl is the most compelling of his films for one reason only, and that is Mia Goth. The performance that we get out of Mia Goth in this movie is the best performance in any Ty West film. It is something that you can't really relive the feeling of it until you get to watching it again in a way that you just turn everything off and live in Pearl's land again. This movie, you have the intense monologue, obviously, but what makes that monologue so intense is everything before it. You've seen the myriad of emotions that Pearl has. You see the hope, the love, the willingness to dance with the scarecrow because you're so carefree. The fire scene, like there's so much that happens in this movie leading up to that makes you go, well, hold on, anything can literally happen in this movie, I guess. And that makes this probably the most tense of his movies. I mentioned House of the Devil is the most scary. This, everything that you could do with this movie is all leading up to the fact that you have no possible idea, obviously the first time you're watching this, of what could come next, because they've proven literally anything can happen. And the storyline of Pearl making this personal journey to the end of this movie and then choosing to stick with that one emotion as the credits roll is the ballsiest and great payoff for this film that they could have chosen. I truly love Pearl. I think it's a great homage, like all of his other movies, to a lot of great things like Betty Davis films and literally The Wizard of Oz, like through a couple of the scenes. And it is, to me, it is the most rewatchable. It is the most compelling. It is the film that I walk away going, like, that is closest to a masterpiece.
And I mean, I'm not going to sit here, even though I have it at 4th. I mean, I don't really have many complaints about the film at all. It's
right.
It's incredibly well done, and it would have been it would have been probably my favorite of the trilogy if I just didn't think that. I think we'll get into X, but I think it's just a stronger written film, which I think means a little bit more to me. Like the acting in Pearl is better than anything in X, but I think the other elements make up for it for me.
I get that, and I love a lot about X. We're going to talk about it in just a second,
Yeah.
obviously, but there's a lot that I've soured on upon release. So let's discuss how you love X.
Okay. So I would place X as currently the best film in 2020s.
Whoa!
I think it's the best film so far this decade. Think it's phenomenal. I love the writing. I saw this movie 5 times in theaters. I saw it 3 days straight. I was just blown away by it. And I mean, end of the day, I'm a big slasher guy, so this was already going to be like well up my alley. But I just think I think when it comes to West as a director, as a writer, and an editor, I think this is the one movie where I think every single one of those elements come together pretty perfectly. I remember the second time going to see it the day after I saw it the first time on a Thursday preview, and I went on Friday night and being so impressed with how well he set up those characters' deaths in such an intelligent way and such a nice foreshadowing that didn't feel obvious until you already knew what was going to happen. And I think there's just so much rewatch value in that. And, then you get to the scenes of, I think he does such a great job discussing legitimacy of horror as a genre and comparing it to pornography, and the legitimacy of that art, and then talking about and mixing that with an idea of the thematic of getting old and losing that kind of bit of touch too, and how he explores that. Like the landside scene I think is fantastically done. But yeah, I could rave about this movie all day, so I will leave it there for now. But yeah, that was why I would put it at my number one.
So yeah, I loved X for a very long time. It wasn't really until after I'd sat with Pearl and seen it a second time that made me realize I think I was giving X a little more credit internally than I should have, and I reassessed it a little bit, watched it again, and I do feel like it's great still. Like it's absolutely an incredible entry into this franchise. Nothing wrong with it necessarily. I do think that it is, again, very on the nose for what it is trying to homage, which nothing wrong with that necessarily. I think that they do a very good job. I think the cast is great. I think that the performances in this are surprising. And the biggest thing for me is the overall tone really fits with the 70s. I absolutely think that of the three, I think he truly nails the tone of what he was going for like the decade homage most with X.
I would agree with that because I remember when Pearl was first like announced right after X came out, where they show the trailer at the end. I remember talking to somebody about, wouldn't it have been cool if he had done like a two-tone, I don't know if I can't remember if it's called like two-tone Technicolor, but instead of doing a Technicolor film, doing something that would have been that era.
Hmm.
And that's nitpicky because the Technicolor stuff he does looks fantastic. It looks really
Right.
great. Pearl looks phenomenal. I also think it's probably better for the audience. I think not as many audience members see it if we're doing like two-tone colors here, like something like the two strip. That's what it's called, two strip. I don't think as many people would go see it.
Yeah, definitely not. Unfortunately, we're at the point where stuff like that just doesn't work. Not theatrically on a monetary level, at least. Many of us still would have loved it, but not quite the same.
Yeah. you gotta make it at least a little bit for nice. Which I mean, both movies. I saw both of these. Thankfully, actually, I saw all three in a pretty packed theater. I'm very thankful for that because I think they're all great crowd movies, especially.
Sibner points out the subversive dialogue in X doesn't really come back in either Pearl or Maxine, and that's kind of disappointing. Agreed. I think that they made some. They may have made some more like what's the best way to say this? Like external external recognition of things, and tried to tell a little bit of a deeper thing. At least it felt like in X. And then go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the thing with Maxine. I kind of noticed thinking back. the dialogue feels more right for something like in the 90s versus the 80s, like when when they're in the video store and they're talking, obviously the ideas of like scream come out and things like that. And I'm like, that that kind of dialogue feels more for like late 90s 2000s slashers than necessarily like an 80s
Right.
whatever it's trying to be in this case.
I would agree there. V Toyvon says, I loved both X and Pearl. They make me want to explore more West, as you two have done tonight. Thanks for the exposition. I would say, honestly, from at least the ones that I've seen, you can't really go wrong. I don't think any of the ones on here are bad movies necessarily.
No, I like, even though I put Trigger Man's the only one that I for sure probably won't revisit unless I'm just like, I don't know, I hear some really captivating reevaluation of it. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go. Otherwise, I'm good. But the rest of them, I'm pretty happy with. There's some enjoyment to find.
I would agree there. Uh, not on topic, but Jeremy says Curzon just announced a Bellatar retrospective box set. That's interesting. However, it is time for Severin. Any other Ty West thoughts?
No, I think I've said plenty. I'm sure people are tired of hearing me talking about it by now, so I am happy to move on.
All right. So tonight is the beginning of the Severin Summer Sale. It is live from 5 minutes from now until 12:01 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday, July 16th. This is going to be going all weekend. We will be seeing lots of deals. Box sets will go on sale specifically on Saturday. If you want to click in through this sale policy links, you can find all of that now. We've had all of the 10 Severin titles, not just titles, I guess I probably should say, all 10 of the Severin Summer Sale releases have been announced. So nothing tonight is necessarily going to be a surprise. However, we will try to go through all kinds of recommendations. So before we go live, if you had to give somebody one Severin title that you absolutely have to have, what is that one title you're going to?
Is that for like ever or just like for tonight? Like what's being released?
Not just for the new titles, just forever. Like if they've never bought from Severin before, what's the first title you tell them to purchase?
It's probably a boring answer just because of how hyped it was, but I'm a big Cemetery Man fan. Like having
That's
that,
a great movie.
yeah, I love it. Like I know it was very hyped up, but that would be my first if I was going to recommend anything. And actually, I'll give a second one. Week of the Killer, Cannibal Man, whatever you want to call it. They did that one, right?
They did.
Fantastic movie. Seriously, I don't think enough people have seen that one.
It is better than I expected. I rewatched that one. I didn't like it on first watch, and then after some of the bonus features that I caught up to later, I actually really like Cannibal Man. I think it's a really well made movie, nice and subversive under the Franco regime that it was made under. But the big one for me, I got to tell everybody, is Santa Sangre 4K is my big one. Travis says the sale is live already, so look, there we are. Let's go through some of these titles. As we alluded to, all 10 titles, or again, I did it again. All 10 releases have been announced. So we have the Opera 4K release. We've got the Dario Argento's Deep Cuts release, 2020 Texas Gladiators 4K release, A Dog Called Vengeance, The Creature, Don't Change Hands, The Mad Bomber, The Mummy and the Curse of the Jackals, The Red Light Bandit, and then we also have nestled in the Opera bundle and the Just the Disc bundle, Simple Like Silver. There is a lot of stuff here, a lot of details to go through if you've not stayed up to date on them. It's a big deal. Go ahead.
No, I was just say, did you notice Christina's signature on the Opera postcard? That is a wild signature.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, wow, you can buy it by itself. I did not know that was a possibility. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, there's lots of options to choose from here. If you want all of the releases, they've got a $289 bundle. If you want just the Argento stuff, they've got a $150 bundle. If you love Texas 2020 Texas Gladiators and want the shirt with that, you got a $65 bundle. But of course, catalog titles all on sale. And lots of great stuff listed for sure. All the Hans BR's box set is one of the best physical media releases of all time. I would also say the same about the Black Emmanuel box set. My big go-to for Severin is the Santa Sangre 4K release. I think that is, if I had to tell somebody to pick one first, that would be my first suggestion. But we'll go through a bunch of recommendations tonight. Here's some of the titles that are first time on sale. We got the Bad Biology 2-disc 4K, Clear Cut Blu-ray by itself, Count Dracula 4K, Dr. Butcher MD 4K, Dracula and Son. These are some of the titles that were in the House of Psychotic Women box set. Journey to the Center of the Earth is only $12.48 on the sale. That's pretty good. Nightmare 4K. This is also called a Nightmare in a Damaged Brain. The Private Crimes. This is like a Twin Peaks send-up. This is on sale for the first time.
It's pretty good too.
Story of a Cloistered Nun, Inconfessible Orgies of Emmanuel, The Sexual Story of O, Fulci's The Psychic on 4K. And then we got the Vampire Quatakuk Umbrakel release that you can get on sale for the first time. There is a 75% off section, which I would bet that these are probably going out of print. They've got some incredible deals in this section. We've got titles under $10 here.
I mean, you can get Birdemic 3 Sea Eagle.
Oh man, Ballad and Blood with the slipcover for $7.50. Birdemic 3 for $6.24.
You're never going to get it at a better price.
Wow, these are very cheap. Bloody Pit of Horror for only $7.50.
Burial Grounds with slipcovers at $7.50.
Whew. Carnival Magic at $7.50 is a great deal. Castle of the Creeping Flesh with the slipcover for $8.74. God, these are cheap. Here's an interesting one. So Dark Waters is in the Folk Horror box set. But what's funny is the disc in the Folk Horror box set is different than the standalone release. There's some extra features on this standalone. So if you really love this movie, this is a really great way to get like the complete version of that. So you might want to check that out. But I got to be honest, on this row, I will announce, I will wholeheartedly recommend Day of the Animals as one of my favorites from Severin as well. This release is completely worth it.
That's been on my list forever, so I might just go ahead and pick that up, actually.
It is so damn good. Wow, Drowning by Numbers, the Peter Greenaway movie on Blu-ray, $7.50. How are these, like, they must be losing the license on these or something for them to be so cheap. Here's some of the Emmanuel films that are in the other box set now. Felicity Blu-ray, the Family Portraits release is only $7.50. God dang. I Miss You, Hugs and Kisses from last year, I think it was, or Black Friday before last year, $16. That's a crazy good price. Invasion of the Blood Farmers, Libido with slipcover for $13.98 is a great deal. Mardi Gras Massacre with the slip is only $8.75. Jeez. I don't understand how these are so cheap. How is My Grandpa's a Vampire only $7.50? Overboard with the slipcover is $5.
How many of those did they print is what I want to know. I remember when they announced that. I remember the question marks over everyone's face the day it was on the sale.
That is crazy. Nosferatu in Venice with Klaus Kinski for very cheap, $8.75. I will say, at $7.50, Paganini Horror is still a little overpriced. This movie is not great. The cover art is way better than the movie. Robo War, very, very good, especially for $8.75. Get that limited edition. Satan's Slave for only $7.50. Oh man. Okay, so this is an interesting one. So Saint Bernard, I know that this is not for everybody, but I really love Saint Bernard here. Got a question first. Dale says we should be holding off on box sets till tomorrow. Correct? I want Christopher Lee, and it's $105. Yes, Christopher Lee. That first one will be cheaper. Oh, Travis loves Paganini horror. Interesting. I really did not like that movie at all. Yes, Dale, hold off on box sets till Saturday. Saint Bernard, though, this movie. Have you ever seen Saint Bernard?
Nope, I'm currently adding it to my cart though. So if anybody wants
So
to beat me there.
Saint Bernard is directed by Gabe Bartolos, who made his name doing makeup and special effects and stuff. And this movie is just a beautiful tribute to his ability to make amazing special effects. The movie is weird. It's an experimental film. It's a very sad film about a guy's interaction with his parents. But I will also warn the movie's called Saint Bernard because the main character literally drags a dead dog's head behind him through much
Jesus.
of the through much of the movie. It's a very obviously fake dead dog head, but I know that a lot of people are very cautious with stuff like that. But the movie's great. There is a couple of very specific scenes that the effects are mind blowing in that movie.
I did want to note that I see that the one with the slips on sale too, but it's only 50% off. It's $17.49.
The slipcover is not worth another $10.
Yeah.
Just buy the Blu-ray. You don't
Yeah,
need the
that's good.
slipcover.
Yeah, that's fine. I haven't done that with Severin anyway.
Some of these others are like the She Killed in Ecstasy is a really great release. It's been around for ages at this point. The Attic Expeditions is only $8.70. Man, how are these so cheap? Stone is a really fun movie and it's only $8.75. Tales to Keep You Awake is very cheap. Beast and Heat is okay. There's a documentary on it that's better than the film itself. Oh man, here's another one. Highly recommend The Boys Next Door. If you have somehow never seen this, it is one that I would say is my favorite from their releases as well. What's going on, Wave? Stan, I think there usually is a free shipping threshold. I think it's like $100 during their sale.
Yeah, free media mail shipping on U.S. orders over $100. Asterisk.
There you go. The Boys Next Door is about two high schoolers that just go on a random ass rampage, basically, and one of them is dragged along, and one of them's just having a really bad night. And it's shocking. It's really well made. It's directed by Penelope Spheris. It is one that everybody should see at least once. It's honestly, it's probably one of my favorite things with Charlie Sheen in it. Let's see. Anything else here that I would jump out at immediately? The Playing a Zombie trilogy was slipped for only $10 is insanity. Everybody should have that. That is a great price. Theater Bazaar is only $8.75 with a slip. That is insane. Man, how are these so cheap? I am rather surprised. Wild Beast is another really great, like old school Severin title. Yep, Maxwell Caulfield without a shirt, and he looks fantastic in that movie. Yeah, these titles are way cheaper than I expected to see. It seems to me, again, I'm not saying this from a point of authority, but if they're going to be selling stuff for $7.50 and $8.75, that screams that licenses are about to be expiring. Any of these that you'd seen before that you would recommend that I didn't mention?
None immediately. I did add a few that were on here, so
I know a lot of people love the Horror of Party Beach. If you're into that weird creature feature type of movies where they're dancing on the beach and somebody starts attacking type of movies. It's a very wide genre.
Now, right now, I'm looking at Days of the Animals, Saint Bernard, The Boys Next Door, The Plague Zombie trilogy, and Theater Bazaar.
That's a solid cart.
And it's only $41.
Jeez, that is a great deal. Oh, man. All right. Looking at some of the other titles. 50%. Oh, that's just stickers. Where is 4K titles that will be on sale? Let's see. These are not on sale yet because they just released. All right, here we go. Drowning by Numbers 4K with slipcover is $22.50. Great movie. Acción Mutante. This is a great movie, but Arrow just announced this as coming on 4K, so you might be after that box set instead. Yes, Wave Opera is out. Then
The 5 days. I actually haven't seen that one.
I've not watched it yet.
Yeah.
I've been sitting on that since it came out. I need to watch it. The Changeling 4K looks great in 4K. Faceless, this is actually one of the better Franco titles. This is probably what I should have said for my go-to answer for the best Severin film. I adore Out of the Blue, and I think everybody should have had that.
Yeah, I was trying to see whose Changeling I had. I feel like 10 copies of that came out at the same time, but I have theirs. I had to look and check. I feel like a couple other companies put out Changeling like in the last couple of years.
Second Sight did it.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Dude says, just put my order down, but forgot to add a small Virgin Islander shirt to the order on hopes that it will fit my Trumpy plushie. That's great. Craig says, I don't think I can pass up Crypt of the Vampire and Castle of the Living Dead at $7.50. Crazy prices.
Blood for Dracula has just been on. I feel like that movie's been out for so long now.
It was so wanted for so long, and then it came out of nowhere. Here's that big 4K release of Santa Sangre. The 4K restoration is stupendous. Definitely recommend it. And then their first two 4K titles were Day of the Beast and Perdita Durango. I love both of those movies. Alex de la Iglesia is an amazing filmmaker. But like I said about Acción Mutante, Arrow just announced all three of those coming in a 4K box set, so you might be on that train already. That's it for 4K. Let's go over to some Blu-ray. All right, the titles that are on sale start with that vampire title right there, I believe. We've already looked at some of these that are on sale for the first time. Box sets, wait till Saturday, like I said. The Inferno, Rosso, Joe D'Amato on the Road of Excess is on sale as well. Then we got Alien from the Abyss for $15. Complete comic strip at $30 is a really great price. Man, they really want to get rid of this Caligula set.
We can't trick people anymore thinking it's the original Caligula.
Right. Attack Force Z is a pretty good one at only $12.50. It's a fun title. Man, so many of these are way cheaper than I expected. Very interesting choices. Female Executioner is a good one too, and that's not bad. All About Evil at $20. That's a good deal. I still can't believe Mardi Gras Massacre, which was such a hot ticket item for a while because it got pulled for a little bit, is only going for $8.75. Travis says Castle and Crypt are in the first Lee box set, FYI, in case you're getting that on Saturday. Eric says, is it worth getting the Argento bundle just to get Simple Like Silver? Don't really want the swag. I mean, that's a really hard thing to say. Let me take a look at all the swag, because the reality is they're pricing Simple Like Silver at only $15.
Man, that opera shirt is dope, though.
It's a really great looking shirt. I do got to be honest. These pinhole glasses is maybe one of the worst items.
I don't even get it. What is that? Like, why?
Yeah, it's not worth it. Yeah, the opera shirt is pretty great, Jeremy.
Yeah, I like the
this
shirt.
has
I would, yeah, like I would wear that.
the opera release. We've got Simple Like Silver in here. We've got the Argento deep cuts. We've got this beautiful shirt. These dumb glasses, like these are, come on. The signed Christina Marcellic card. I mean, that's a pretty good deal, honestly, for all of that for $150.
Yeah, if I got paid before Monday, I would be probably getting it tonight, but gotta wait a few days to get that. Or get to what I'll end up with. I probably won't end up with that bundle.
Well, and honestly, even just the disc bundle seems very fairly priced this year. It's $300 for 10 pretty crazy releases. So Eric asking if it's worth it to get this bundle just to get Simple Like Silver. I mean, if that's obviously if that's the only thing you want, then not really. But if you're interested in most everything else, then yeah, I mean, this seems pretty worth it.
Because you said let's see. So we're looking at 150. So if you break this apart, so opera is at 60, deep cuts is at 45, you're at 105 there. That movie is, what'd you say? How much was that going for?
15.
15, so you're at 120 already. And then you got the postcard, which I think was 15.
15. So there's 135. I think the glasses are 5. So that's 140.
Okay. And then the t-shirt, I mean, most t-shirts like that run what, like 30, 40 bucks?
Yep.
So, I mean, individually, you know, if you want, I would say all but maybe one or two items, I would say it probably is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically getting Simple Like Silver for free at least.
Yeah.
Somebody's texting me that checkout isn't working for them at the moment.
Of course. Just like old times.
Eric, yes, Simple Like Silver is only available in those two bundles, the Argento bundle and the Just the Disc bundle, and it will only be available this weekend. They have 1,000 copies, and that is it. They are not printing more of this like they have for their other titles that they said were limited in the past. And I'm only counting that because I talked to the filmmaker who said that exact thing to me.
Yeah, that does, just the disc bundle is actually really nice.
It's not a bad price for everything that's in it. And to be honest, 10 releases, all of them are enticing in their own way, at least.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like that Mummy and the Jackal one. I've never seen it, but it intrigues me.
Michael Smith got Opera, Deep Cuts, Drowning by Numbers, and Blood for Dracula. That's a solid card.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who gets Opera, it's already won, so you're fine. Just get Opera.
Travis is asking, what is Simple Like Silver? Simple Like Silver is a movie directed by Damian Leahy that was the first movie that Christina Marcellic, who is the star of Opera, she came out of retirement to act in this about 25 years after her last film. And it is an experimental film that was filmed in Florida just a few years ago. And it looks good. I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and it's a good movie. It's just if you're a very plot driven movie fan, you probably won't like it all that much.
I mean, you're probably not into Italian giallo films either if you're too into plot. So
potentially,
yeah.
Jeremy says, between the fact that the Argento titles are the main things I want, and that you can only get that title in the bundle, and that shirt is badass, I'm going for it. Nice. Good night, Mom. Yeah, solid choices from Michael.
Are they selling that shirt individually?
The Argento shirt? Yes, I believe so. Okay. Let me see. Shop merch. Oh, I forgot about that. They've got this new water bottle that actually looks really nice. if they are. Oh, there it is. $28 for the shirt by itself.
Okay. $2 off. 7%.
And the biggest thing for me, I know a lot of people are picky about their shirts. It's a Paul Bearer Press shirt. Paul Bearer Press may be my favorite t-shirt company. They do some really great stuff. Eric says the system wants to add $16 shipping, even though I'm well over 100. You have to choose free shipping. You may want to go back and take a look at that. And I think you have to choose it twice.
I'll experiment real quick and see what I come up with. Still not over 100. Hopefully I don't hit the button.
I believe there's 2 places to confirm it too.
Let's see. Enter your shipping address. Okay. Yes, so when I go to shipping method, it has the standard shipping at 19, but if I go right under it, it has it for free. So it should be there. What is it actually still? Oh, they're still selling that Severn Airline travel bag? I thought they ran out of those.
They got some more?
Yeah, I mean, when I went to checkout, it was underneath. It's like the travel bag, the Cemetery Man snow globe.
Oh,
I mean,
there it is, $60.
Yeah, the Joe Spinell plush doll. I mean, yeah, Cemetery Man snow globe's $35.
They've only got a few of those plush dolls left.
Found some space at the warehouse.
What is the plush doll under? It's not under.
See if I can send it to you. I just saw it.
Oh, I'm sure it's here, but
yeah, what it's under.
I just want to know how they're categorizing it.
See what happens when I go to it.
There it is. Joe Smith, $40 by itself. Oh, the Severn Halloween tee is back too. Oh, they still have their pint glass available. I didn't know that. Nice.
Mardi Gras Massacre shot glass. Wonderful.
For only $3. Yeah, this new water bottle actually looks really nice. Some great deals to be had in here, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a good sale. I wish it wasn't because I wouldn't have to spend money, but it's a good sale.
Yeah. Dude says, I wish Severn would let us add to an order. In my haste to get the Texas Gladiator bundle before it sold out or the website crashed, I missed a bunch of things I want.
Before the website crashed.
I mean, it's funny.
Oh yeah, it's like a joint trauma we all have.
Travis is asking, is the Trumpy plush back? I don't think so. I believe that is fully sold out. Michael wants to know, do I think the Black Emmanuel's box set will be 50% off? It says up to 55. I don't think it will be. That is a very expensive box set, and I highly doubt it will be full 50% off. Michael says you can add to existing order now, and I thought that was the case. I was about to go research that. Eric got Opera 2020 Texas Gladiators, Mad Bomber, Don't Change Hands, The Mummy and the Curse of the Jackals, Danza Macabre Volume 3, a new tank top, new water bottle, pinhole glasses, and more pens. Damn. Let me take a look. I just got another text, and yes, supposedly they did confirm that you can add to shipping. Let me go find the
I was trying to find it in their FAQ, but I don't see it.
Let's go add. There's lots of new information below, especially updated shipping times and a new simplified add to your existing order option. I've placed an order but would like to add to it. Can I add to my existing order? Yes, we have implemented a new process for adding to your existing order for this 4-day sale. To utilize it, you will want to make sure that you are logged in when you place your first order and any other orders. For all additional orders that you place during the sale, you will see a free shipping option that says add to my existing order or combine with previous orders. Select this and your new order will be combined with your previously placed sale order. That is it. That's good. That's a very good thing.
Yeah, I feel like quite a few companies do that now. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's just a few holdouts left now. I feel like I see it as more options than I don't.
Eric says, look like I'll be waiting on the Suave 4Ks till the next sale. Does Severin count the 6 months from retail release? Because those things came out last November, December through Severin. Basically, they don't do 6 months, Eric. They basically do everything that came out from the last sale will be 2 sales from now will go on sale. So last year's Black Friday sales will be on sale for the first time this Black Friday. And then everything that comes out in this sale this year will be in the summer sale next year. That's when they will go on sale for the first time. Box set sale is the 13th of July. Like I said, on Saturday, we will be able to see those. I forget, did they have the prices listed? I know they listed what was going to be on sale. I don't think they had the prices listed, though. Nope, does not have the prices. Damn. All right. Some of these, I'm very curious to see how fast, like the Argento bundle will go out. The Penne Apocalypse bundle has no limit, so this is not a limited bundle. Interesting.
Now, they don't tell you how many they have left on their site, right?
Nope, they do not. I know this is a title that people have been wanting for years, so I'm sure this is going to be a big seller for them. It's a nice shirt for this one, too.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Is that also Paul Bear, or is that somebody else?
It is Paul Bear.
That's nice.
Most of their tees are on sale. Wow. And they've got some good stuff on sale this time.
Oh, I can see why that 2020 Texas Gladiator. It's Joe D'Amato,
Yep.
Michael Suave, George Eastman. Oh, okay. Oh, this is all adding up.
All screaming your name.
Yeah. The guy who did Rats, Night of Terror, that Chris got us to watch. Yeah, that's all there. Actually sounds pretty cool.
Sam says, is the opera release going to sell out? No. The opera release will be available for quite some time. Guaranteed. Eric says, under the 50% off most titles section, there's a line about releases from the past 6 months. Yeah, they unfortunately are just not on sale. That's not how they do that. Man.
Ryan, what are you going to grab?
I don't know. Some of these super cheap ones that I just never got, I may have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it's going to be better than 750. And I mean,
And nothing will ever be cheaper than those.
And just think, guys, if you really want to make some money and be a terrible person, just buy up as many of those as you can. When they go out of print, you're good to go. You just have to sell your soul to do it.
Oh, man. Let's see. Check out Nightmare. Sorry, I got somebody messaging me, and I'm looking at what
No,
they're
no, you're
saying.
good. I'm looking through this anyway, so you are fine.
They're pointing out something about the prices, so very curious to see what comes from that. Man, there's so many great stuff in the Severn catalog.
So,
What
Castle
else are
Blood.
people?
Has anyone seen that? Can anybody note that? How that one is?
I've not seen Castle of Blood yet.
I did see they have. I saw that. I meant to message you about that. Having Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. Since
Great
I
movie.
bought your copy.
Great movie.
Yeah, it is. It's very good. If you were a fan of Halloween Ends, all 7 of us, go watch Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker.
Oh, there was a glitch on some of the MSRPs for a moment. Interesting. A couple of them jumped up to higher prices. And yes, I totally agree, Eric. They definitely need to remove that line. All right, let me look at some of these older catalog titles. I was looking through Blu-ray and then got distracted. All right, go into the second page. And don't forget, box sets. Don't even touch those till Saturday. Still.
I didn't look. Do they at least put something on there to like say, "Hey, if you're about to buy this, don't," or do they just like I hope you figured that out?
That's a good question. Let me
I'm
pull it
actually
up.
going to look.
House of Psychotic Women. Let me see if it says it. It does not, from what I can see.
I mean, from a business standpoint, like I get it, but it's just like,
Right.
yeah. But
Travis says Castle of Blood is a fantastic Italian Gothic with Barbara Steele, but the 4K is in the Danza Macabre Volume 2 box set.
Okay.
So they're selling the Blu-ray, but you can get the newer 4K in the box set.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sam is asking what box sets are going to be on sale, and I will list that for you because they gave that to us in their list under the policies. And they are All the Haunts Be Ours, the Folk Horror box set, the complete Lindsay Baker Giallo set, Cushing Curiosities, Danza Macabre Volume 1, Danza Macabre Volume 2, the Annie Milligan box set, both of the Eurocrypt of Christopher Lee collections, House of Psychotic Women, Incredibly Strange Films of Ray Dennis Steckler, the Nunsploitation collection, the Violent Streets, that's the one with Umberto Lenzi and Thomas Milian, the Black Emmanuel box set, and then the Birdemic trilogy. All of those will be on sale on Saturday.
I'm glad you ended that list off with a really high note. I appreciate it.
Oh, man. Who has seen the post about fixing the Kathy's Curse box? It works from what all who have tried it has said, and I ordered batteries to fix it. I never bought that, but yeah, supposedly there was a post that they were talking about in the podcast that it teaches you how to fix the eyes not working properly. So I'm glad they got that out there for everybody. I just love that it works as the curse from Kathy as well, since it all came broken.
They should have just went with it. Said, no, that's an intentional design choice. Like when The Sopranos ended, and apparently HBO had to like repeatedly tell people, no, the show ended. That was correct.
I can't believe Hey Stop Stabbing Me is only $6.24. That's a great price for that.
House at the Edge of the Park. Hey, $22. That's worth that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's not bad, especially for a 3-disc set with the slip.
Yeah.
Bloody Pit of Horror only being $7.50 is insanity.
Night of the Demon. How long has that been out?
That's been 2 Black Fridays ago.
And they still got slips. That's impressive.
Well, I mean, they never really announce the number that they're putting out there unless it's a bundle. Good tip from Eric too. If you bought the Kathy's Curse box, you got a $10 coupon in your email. Make sure you use that and don't forget it. Oh, well, and speaking of that, I know a lot of people might have forgotten this because it's been a couple years, but they said they'd still reward it if you turn it in. They had that like punch card like system that they started after the summer sale 2 or 3 years ago. If you still have that, you could go and use that still. Yeah, you can fill it out. And I think that one was a free title or something like that. 15 titles in David's cart. Damn.
I'm
Eric
at
got
6, so I'm not that bad yet.
nice. Eric got Opera, Deep Cuts, and 4 Fulcis: The Psychic, Demonia, Enigma, and Warriors of the Year 27-2. V. Toivan got Summer Fun 24, Just the Disc Bundle, The Attack Force Z, Vampire Quaticuk, Umbracle, The Plague of Zomba Trilogy, and Tales to Keep You Awake. I think I need Tales to Keep You Awake this time for sure. 75% off is very hard to resist. Agreed, David.
Honestly, some of these other labels are going to have to pick up their game with this 75% off. I'd be way more broke.
Yeah, 75% off would be enticing everywhere. I couldn't imagine some of these places that hardly ever put stuff on sale.
I mean, imagine finding like these titles at Walmart when they used to have the Blu-ray bin for $7.50. That's pretty much what this is.
Damn, Chris got the Just the Disc bundle and 10 of the clearance Blu-rays. Very nice.
And I mean, 10 of those are probably still less than $100. So, I mean, you're doing good. Which I'm tempted. I'm debating if I'm going to do Opera. I want to because I love Opera. But I'm almost tempted to just do like a bunch of the cheap ones and then just wait on Opera because it's going to be there forever. I say that and they'll then announce it's completely limited and sorry you missed it. Email us if you'd like a copy.
I forgot they've got books right now too.
Oh yeah. Where's their books? Am I missing it?
If you go under merch, it's under books, novelizations, comics.
I see where I messed up.
So they've got that make your own slasher book that they announced for this. They've got the last horror film. Why is it under books? That's weird. They've got the Nightmare novelization, Night of the Demon novelization, After the World Ends. This is the one that was super limited that they were selling right now. I think this is the last of this book that's in English.
I have a weird thing for novelizations. I don't know. I shouldn't because it just costs me more money, but I do like a good novelization. They get weird. Like I remember when I read Halloween's novelization, and it's a wild kind of book that because I guess they're just given free reign and said, yes, we're going to do Sam Samhain kind of rituals at the beginning of the novel, and you're like, oh, okay. I don't remember that in the movie, but sure, let's do it.
Sibner says, I'm going to start calling them Severin Lorber. That's really funny.
Ooh, Don't Go in the House. It's still 20 though. That's a good movie though.
It is a good movie.
Yeah.
Travis says, am I wrong to assume they'll be doing a 4K of Lindsay's Eaten Alive? They didn't announce it, but that really wouldn't surprise me. That's a very Severin title. They've had that title for a long time.
Yeah, and that's one of the 750 ones, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Danny says, After the World Ends is a great book. That's nice.
Okay.
Sibner wishes the Video Nasties doc was on Blu-ray. Me too. Delirium for 15 is a pretty good price. Man, the folk horror doc for only 15 is great if you don't want to go in on the box set. But I mean, really, that box set will probably be. I'm going to bet it's going to be 140 on sale because that one probably will be 50% off, and that box set is wholly worth it. In fact, it might even be Let me check something else.
See, the thing I hate about that set is I've been kind of fucking around not getting that set for so long that I'm gonna miss it eventually. It's finally gonna be out of print or something. I'll be like, wow, I had like 10 years to do it and I never got it.
That would be
So
rough, especially because they're very much hinting that there's a second one coming.
yeah, I need to get it.
Well, I don't mean to tempt everybody right now, but if you are interested in the Folk Horror box set, it is only $118 on Amazon right now, and it will not be that cheap on Severin.
Okay.
It will not be that cheap this weekend. I just put the link in the chat. The Severin Folk Horror box set is literally like in my top 3 favorite physical media releases of all time. Genuinely. But yeah, even if they put the Severin Folk Horror box set at 55% off, which I think is the most that they said something would be, it wouldn't be anywhere close to 118. It would be about 130.
Yeah, because when you get on Amazon, it says 58% off.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a bad price.
Alex Krieger, since it's going on sale, would you care to sell me on the Black Emmanuel box set? Well, the first thing I will caution, it is not for everyone. Some of the films in that set, many of the films in that set are just not great films. The biggest thing is the extras in that set are some of the best extras. to contextualize something that is so subversive like the Black Emmanuel box set is very worth it, in my opinion. And some of the movies are very good, and I'm glad that it's put together. The box set itself is, again, one of the biggest feats in physical media history. It's a miracle that they could get that set together the way that they did. Humboldt Horror Honey, Zach just tells you, get the set.
I want to.
Travis says, I recommend Libido, and it's $14 with a slip. It is a good giallo. Eric says, All the Haunts is one of the greatest sets ever. I realize, though, that I still have to watch the doc. Oh, wow. Wanted to wait till you'd seen all the movies. Oh, geez. The crazy thing is all the movies play such a very small part in the doc. I love this from Craig. Craig says, listening to folks geek out over movies together while restoring Felidae is a very good time, and I can't wait to see Felidae. Yes, the book with the Folk Horror box set and with the Black Emmanuel box set, they're both amazing. Everybody's gonna keep pushing you till you get it.
I'm just gonna be broke. That's fine. That's fine. I don't need to eat till Monday. Needs to eat. I'll be fine.
Let me take a look at what's behind me for Severin. There's so many great titles that they've done throughout the years. Again, out of the blue, I know that we didn't mention this all that much in detail earlier, but if you've never seen Out of the Blue, it's an incredible Dennis Hopper movie. Really well directed, great story, depressing ending, and such a great restoration. And then beyond that, the extras on it are great. It's just a really great set.
I like the sum up of that. It's gonna fuck your day up, but it looks really good.
It's so true. And I was so fortunate last year to be able to go see it in a theater, and my wife had never seen it before, and so I sat in a room that fits. I don't know, that theater's pretty small. It probably only fits about 35, and I think we had about 25 in there. And based on the sounds, and my wife had never seen it either, so based on the sounds that I heard, I bet out of the 25, maybe only 5 had ever seen it. And yeah, people were gonna have a rough night after that. That is for sure.
I noticed on here it says North America only. Did someone else put this out besides them?
Which one?
Out of the Blue.
Yes, BFI released it in the UK.
Okay, that makes sense.
From Chris, a reminder that Buddy Giovanazzi's second film, No Way Home, is going out of print and will never come back. It is $9 and has the CD soundtrack. That's for sure. If you haven't yet, search format with price low to high, and you will find extra deals. Well, damn it.
Let's go look. Let's see.
Oh, wait, I should have just stayed where I was. I was already there. How do I sort this? Price low to high. Okay, most of these were in that 75% off section, I think.
Yeah, the Blu-rays, I don't think we missed it. I mean, the 4Ks, I don't think we missed anything there. The cheapest one was Drowning by Numbers, which was 22.
The pasties are half off. Nice. Keep looking. Blackenstein's only $7.50.
That maybe Midnight's $1.25. That's
no, it's just the slip by itself.
I missed that. Thank you for noting that.
Next to Kin is a one that I would recommend. Pretty creepy and only at $7.50. That's a great deal. Mondo Belordo's only $7.50. That's a pretty great deal.
Page 2. Let's look. I know what it is. Birdemic Shock and Terror for $7.50. I did miss that. So I'm glad.
Oh man.
Next to Kin is $7.50.
Yeah, they really went all out on these prices this time.
Let's see. The Beast in Heat. Castle of the Creeping Flesh.
I'm hoping we get a 4K of Threads, and from the sound of it, it seems like we will probably get one soon. It sounded like somebody was working on another release of that. Deep Blood is only 15. Tales of the Uncanny at 15. That's a great one. This has a doc on it for anthology horror. That's really great.
Tales of the Uncanny.
And they're still selling Devolved? I didn't know they still had that. Exactly, Chris. Go into Next to Kin if you're buying that as cold as possible. Don't look up anything about it. Nothing will prepare you for the last 5 minutes. Why does anyone want a 4K of Threads? To fuck your weekend up in full HD. UHD, I guess I should say. Oh, man. Drive-In Massacre, that's a fun one. Is it worth 15 now? I don't know. I mean, that title used to be on sale for even cheaper back in the day. Wow, they still have their UK release of Baskin. I didn't realize they were still selling that.
I was actually just kind of skipped to the end. I thought for some reason the Lindsay Baker set was out of print. I don't know why I thought that, but I just noticed it was on here.
Threads actually fucked me for days, says Sam. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, Axe and Kidnapped Coed was under the 75% off sale there, Sibner. By Leth, the Demon of Incest is available. All right, I know that everybody was upset that the Al Adamson box set went so fast. If you have never seen the documentary, The Real Life and Ghastly Death of Al Adamson is really great, and I definitely still recommend that people get that. I know it sucks to not have all of the movies, but definitely worth checking out the doc. It's really well made.
I want to note for anyone who's missed it the last 38 times, Blood on Satan's Claw is with the exclusive slip cover is $34. I feel like I'm surprised that one's not on sale. To be honest, I swear it's on sale every other time.
Yeah, that's one of those convention titles that they call it.
Skin Deep is 17.
It's a rough documentary, but I really recommend The Killing of America. It's from the early 80s. This documentary is pretty great. What's going on, Maddie? Silent Mandible. Sorry, guys, dozed off. Is this the sale that was mentioned earlier with 4 Flies on Gray Velvet? I don't. Well, 4 Flies is not available in this. I don't think, is it? It is not. With that title, though, I think you can email them and get them. Yes, Blood on Satan's Claw. Don't forget, 88 Films put out a 4K of that. Zach, did you order the faux core box set?
No way I'm making that big of a decision before I go to sleep. I'm not doing it at 1 o'clock in the morning. That stuff will sit in my cart until in the morning, and I decide if it's a bad decision or not.
Any other titles that people have questions on before maybe we call it a night?
So I actually have a question. So the Peanut Butter Solution, is that like the prequel to the Peanut Butter Falcon? Which order do I need to watch this?
Oh, that's really funny. Oh, that's great. Sibner wants to know, I'm curious how they ring you up if you email them. Do they add it to your cart? They invoice you for the price of the title, actually, through a PayPal invoice.
I wonder how much it is. I assume it was just whatever it sold originally. What did it go for? I can't remember what I paid for that.
Four Flies was it?
Oh, that's not
45. I don't remember.
I was gonna say if Blu-ray.com would tell me, because I couldn't remember if they had that information or not. But no, they just tell me that I can buy it on Amazon for $128. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Maddie says, my wife and I are vending at the Buffalo Horror Garage Sale at the end of the month, and Severn will be there. I'm waiting then till decide on All Haunts. Hope they bring it. I'm sure they will. Although, like I think it was right before you got here, Maddie. The All the Haunts Be Ours box set is only $118 on Amazon right now, and that's cheaper than it's going to be anywhere else for sure. Travis says, are they still doing a Black Friday sale because they moved this one to not be a halfway sale? Yes, they did the same thing last year, and they still had a Black Friday sale. They will absolutely have one again this year. Yeah, it's only a few months away for sure. And remember, on Black Friday, last year's Black Friday last year's Black Friday releases will be 50% off. Have a good night, Humboldt Horror. I will be responding to your message that you sent elsewhere as soon as I'm done tonight. Yeah, Travis, those last year's Black Friday sales, I did it again. I keep thinking of Tales to Keep You Awake because I definitely need to get that title. Those ones will all be on sale this Black Friday as well. So Spider Labyrinth, Cemetery Man, The Sect, The Church, that whole group of titles, those will all be 50% off come November. Like I just mentioned, Dave. Yeah, this November, those will be on sale. When the Wind Blows is definitely recommended. Peanut Butter Solution is recommended. If you don't have the Faux Core box set V by itself, this title is great. Really well made movie. Love that thing. Scream in the Streets is pretty worth it. Cannibal Man, like we mentioned earlier, is definitely worth it. Endgame is certainly worth it. Angel for Satan is another good title, especially if you love Barbara Steele. Eyes of Fire is a masterpiece, but you should just have the Faux Core box set. Did you buy it yet, Zach?
No, not yet. I'll I want to just tag. Can I get an add everyone tag like on the Discord just for like one day? So when I get it, I can just tag everybody and let them know.
I mean, I
Got it.
think it's open for everybody to use. So
I don't know if you should have told everybody that. If just when you get back on the Discord, it's gonna be add everyone all the way
that's
through.
true. Oh man, I haven't talked about this one in a while. Siege. This may be a like top 3 Severn title for me as well. This is like I don't know why I said well, like the word whale. This movie is incredible. It is very much a sort of like assault on precinct 13 type
Well,
of
I'm
film.
sold. Okay, thank you.
It's
I'm good.
so good. Wave is asking, have you heard of this Count Dracula 4K from 7 or 88 films had better encoding? Wave, if you're comparing 88 films to anybody, the answer is always the other company. Severin definitely has better encoding than 88 films. Glad you agreed, David. Yes, like a Canadian green room. That's the way to sell it.
John Carpenter, Green Room. I mean, you're just it's selling me. I'm good.
It's already in Zach's cart, promise.
Yeah, it is actually. Means that's got to get removed.
I should probably make it so that giant white butt is not on my YouTube screen.
Report.
Gwendolyn. That's another very classic Severin title. If you don't have it yet, everybody should have Gwendolyn. 13 movies for $131. Very nice, Sibner. Massacre in Dinosaur Valley. Did anybody else see that? I did not love that. One I did, though. Everyone needs to check out Eloy de la Iglesia's Kinky Collection. This is a great buy at only $20.
Strange Vice is good.
It is.
Yeah, it's very good.
Although, now that I'm thinking about that, did Strange Vice get a 4K somewhere as well?
I'm on Blu-ray. Let me check.
It did not.
No.
But that's a title that
Shameless put that title out. I know that's a terrible copy.
Yeah, I imagine that's a title that would probably be upgraded to 4K someday.
Yeah.
Alex is asking another box set question for Saturday. Lindsay Baker, a Lindsay Milan, or both? I mean, really, they're very, very different sets. So I can't really say either way. It's more of what you choose. Lindsay Baker is more of the giallo, slower cinema box set. Lindsay Milan is high crime and mostly good action. So if you lean one way or the other and you can only get one, but they're both really high quality. Oh, interesting. Spaghetti says Bahia Blanca was not available for a long time, and now it just popped up again for the sale. So if you're a Jess Franco apologist, you might want to check that out.
I've never heard of this. You know, it's sad when I sit here and say, corpse washes up on Village. That sounds right up my alley. Thank you.
It's like speaking to me.
Yeah, like that's
bloated body arrived on the edge of the water? Sure. All right. Any other questions? Since we are at a good 3.5 hours on our show so far. Now we'll just sit here and watch live as Zach purchases the folk horror box set.
Here, let me have control so you guys can watch me put in my credit card information.
Everybody can go see his address so you know where to go watch together. We got Couch and Sam are going to wait till Saturday to order it all. which I get, especially if you're not going after any of the things that are likely to sell out. Although these titles at 75%, who knows how many they have? Some of those are quite possible to just disappear all of a sudden. Craig says we have to stay on so he can keep working. Craig, my kids are going to be awake in 5.5 hours. I wish I could. All right. Since I don't see any questions popping up, one last plea for everybody to take your phone out, go to your podcast player and search up the words "They Live by Film" and press that handy subscribe button right there. You should be listening to Zach's voice every single week. Him and his other two co-hosts, well, Chris and him and his other co-host and Adam. I'm just kidding, Adam. Go check out the show. It's amazing. If you like my stuff, you'll definitely like them. They are great people, and they've got terrible taste sometimes, and it's fun to argue with them when they can't hear you.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, and the great thing is maybe Adam just got on because I think it's like 6 o'clock in the UK, and he's probably just woke up and be like, what the fuck? As soon as I get on, as soon as I wake up.
You just
Thought we did
logged in.
Godzilla together, man.
I'm calling him out already. Yeah, subscribe to They Live by Film. They do great work. If you like conversations like this, or if you want to ask a community more often on which release you should get, or if you want to share opinions, or all those things, check out the Patreon. There's a link in the description below. We've got a really active Discord of a ton of people that love talking about this stuff literally 24/7. There's been a bunch of posts in there literally while on the stream tonight. It never ends. We would love to have you. It's a really fun community that's probably one of the most positive film communities I've seen online. So check it out. Other than that, anything else you want to hype up or share before we call it a night there, Zach?
No, I think I'm good. I appreciate again for you having me on. I did not realize it was a severance sale until I got on here, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Oops. Yes, thank you all for hanging out tonight. I know it's been a long night. Oh yeah, that's a good thing. Craig says I share stuff on the Discord that no one else sees. We got two little sneak peeks tonight that I was stoked to see. They look really nice. On that note, remember there is a video going up tomorrow for the Last Stop at Yuma County release that's coming out next week from Wellgo USA. Get a conversation with the director. And next Thursday on the show, it's going to be a really interesting one. And honestly, the next month, starting with last week, this week, next week, we've got some really, really great conversations coming up on Reconnected. Some great guests, some unique situations that have never happened before. You get to see Craig in a couple weeks. It's going to be a great time. Come out every week. Check out Reconnected. I don't normally promote this much, so I don't know what to say. But thank you all for hanging out tonight. I love sales nights. Have a good night. We will see you next time. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share it with someone else that may appreciate this.